Now opening the March 26, 2025 meeting of the Santa Rosa City Schools Board of Education. We will start with public comment on closed session agenda items. The closed session agenda items are conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, student expulsions, public employee discipline, dismissal and release, and public employee performance evaluation. Are there any blue cards?
There are no blue cards.
All right, then the board will recess to closed session. Good evening, everyone. We are now reopening the March 26, 2025 meeting of the Santa Rosa City Schools Board of Education. If everyone could please have a seat and quiet down. Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing for the territorial land acknowledgement.
I acknowledge that Santa Rosa City Schools is on the traditional territory and homelands of the Pomo people, traditional territory and homelands of the Coast Mohawk people, and honor with gratitude the land itself and the people who have stewarded it throughout the generations. This land acknowledgement calls us to commit to continuing to learn how to be better stewards of the land we inhabit. By offering this land acknowledgement, we affirm Indigenous sovereignty and will work to hold Santa Rosa City Schools more accountable to the needs of the American Indian and Indigenous peoples.
Thank you. All right, report of actions taken in closed session. There were none. Items considered in closed session for action in open session. We are seeking a motion on our student expulsion cases. We have case number 2024-25-25.
I'll move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, moved by trustee Caston, seconded by trustee Manieri. Roll call vote.
Trustee Caston.
Aye.
Trustee Manieri.
Aye.
Trustee Kirby.
Aye.
Trustee Jenkins.
Aye.
President McNally.
Aye. Motion passes. Then we have case number 2024-25-27.
Move.
Second.
Moved by trustee Caston, seconded by trustee Manieri. Roll call vote.
Trustee Caston.
Aye.
Trustee Manieri.
Aye.
Trustee Kirby.
Aye.
Trustee Jenkins.
Aye.
President McNally.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, we'll move on to statements of abstention. Are there any statements of abstention tonight? Trustee Caston?
It will be abstaining on G3. A potential client of a client is one of the vendor warrants.
All right, thank you, trustee Caston. Any others? All right, adjustments to the agenda. I know that for our school site presentations and parent organization updates, we will only be hearing from Hidden Valley Elementary. We'll hear from Montgomery High School at a later board meeting. Are there any other adjustments to the agenda? Trustee Jenkins?
I'd like to pull G5 and just G5.
Okay, so G3 and G5. All right. Thank you, Trustee Jenkins. Anything else? All right, then we'll move on to our special presentation for Student of the Month and Certificated and Classified Employees of the Month for Hidden Valley Elementary School.
Good evening, everyone. Brad Coscarelli, proud principal at Hidden Valley Elementary School. The teacher, staff, and principal of Hidden Valley Elementary School are proud to announce Kiana Agbayani as our Santa Rosa City Schools Hidden Valley Elementary Student of the Month. Kiana is very deserving of this honor. She is a true Hidden Valley Hawk. Kiki is a conscientious, curious, and committed student who works diligently to produce creative, quality work. She perseveres through challenges and has a very positive attitude. Kiki is also very reliable and giving. She can be counted on by her peers for help. Kiki has many talents and is gifted in many ways. One of the most impressive things about her is the way she is supportive and kind to all of her classmates and teachers. She is always willing to work with a student who needs help. She has a sweet and humble nature that makes her well-liked by all. At home, Kiki is described as a blessing. She is currently taking piano and recently won first place in a Bible quiz competition in an annual Awana Club's event in Northern California. She volunteers and serves as an assistant in her church's program for children. Kiki is an amazing, patient, and kind older sister to her two younger sisters and is considerate and respectful to her two older siblings. She loves drawing, reading, crafts, and loves learning and talking about her faith. She is a very hardworking, honest, and well-rounded young lady. We have no doubt that Kiki is well prepared for middle school and that she will continue to use her talents to make her future years positive and productive. Congratulations, Kiki. We are all so proud of you.
Congratulations, Kiana.
And then Ms. Mhm. It is our honor to award Mr. Carlos Silva as the Santa Rosa City Schools Classified Employee of the Month for Hidden Valley Elementary School. Mr. Silva works at Hidden Valley as a classroom instructional assistant. Mr. Silva is amazing. He does it all at Hidden Valley. He greets our families and students every morning at drop-off. He is constantly getting called on the radio to help in the classroom or support a student in need. Mr. Silva is out at every recess and lunch, helping to keep our campus safe. He works with students in small groups to support students in math and English. Mr. Silva helps with restorative practices, our Tier 2 team, and is a member of our school leadership team. Mr. Silva is a respected and valued member of our school due to his hard work, professionalism, and true team spirit. He has amazing people skills, communication with parents, teachers, and students, and cares deeply about improving our school. As a bilingual employee, many of our families feel very comfortable with Mr. Silva as he has built strong relationships with them. He has proven himself to be a loyal, dedicated, and passionate employee. Mr. Silva is an asset to our school district. Once again, it is my pleasure to present Mr. Silva as the Santa Rosa City Schools Classified Employee of the Month for Hidden Valley Elementary School. Congratulations. Stay right there. Okay. We do one more and then. And then we'll both do it. On behalf of Hidden Valley Elementary School and the Santa Rosa City Schools District, it is our pleasure to award Mrs. Debbie Winkleman as our Teacher of the Month. She teaches 5th grade at Hidden Valley. Mrs. Winkleman is well respected by our staff, students, and parents. Mrs. Winkleman encompasses all of the qualities of a Teacher of the Month. She is warm and caring. She creates a classroom environment that both welcomes and challenges her students to reach their goals. Mrs. Winkleman is dedicated to supporting every student. She works hard to improve student morale and creating a positive, caring community atmosphere at our school and getting our 5th graders excited about math and science. Mrs. Winkleman builds strong rapport and relationships with her students and families. Her students know that she pushes them to be their best in all areas. She has high expectations for all of her students. She is active in using our new STEAM lab, where her students love working on science and math labs. 2 weeks ago, her class and their buddies from 1st grade celebrated Read Across America Day. They enjoyed a camp out and read by flashlight with their buddies. This is the kind of excitement in learning that Mrs. Winkleman instills in her students. She can and does make a daily difference in the lives of our students. It is an honor and privilege to award Mrs. Winkleman as our Hidden Valley Elementary Santa Rosa City Schools Teacher of the Month. Congratulations. Okay. Okay, we're going to follow James. You're going to follow James, yeah.
Congratulations again to Kiana, Carlos, and Debbie. Thank you for everything you do. Next, we have our school site parent organization updates from Hidden Valley. Looks like we have Alex Suarez, ELAC president, and Nadia Alrari, PFO president.
Thank you, Alex, for ditching me again this year. I don't see him. Oh, there you are. I'm sorry. I take him back. Are you going first?
Oh, you can go first. It's okay.
My name's Nadia Alrawi, and I'm the current PFO president here at Hidden Valley. I would like to formally apologize to Alex. I want to begin by thanking you for the opportunity to speak tonight and for the time, care, and energy each of you invest in making decisions that affect our children's education and well-being. If I may be honest, I'm not normally easily rattled or at a loss of ideas on what to say before giving a speech. And sorry, I struggled with this one after everything that has happened this past year. It definitely didn't come easy. And if we're completely honest, it seems wrong to give a speech like nothing has happened at all. How do I just ignore the fact that so many people are being let go and the schools are closing? It feels impossible to find the right words because this year has been incredibly emotional for our community. And although we're so grateful that Hidden Valley is not closing, we're still saddened alongside those who are impacted. As you know, we've had several of our own staff members receive pink slips, all of them whose heart and presence have meant so much to our kids, the parents, and coworkers. And we're preparing to say goodbye to our beloved principal, Brad Coscarelli, someone who has led with warmth, strength, and deep care for our community. Please never forget that when you are ready to let them go. I want to hope these decisions weren't made lightly, and I sincerely do want to take the time to thank you, the board, for the service and for the weight you do carry in trying to do what's best under these difficult financial circumstances. There's been a lot of debate about why this has all been happening, low enrollment, budget deficits, and leadership decisions. And frankly, I don't pretend to know whose fault it is. And maybe I am completely wrong to assume that this could have all been prevented, but what I do know is that it's complicated and that the cost is felt in classrooms, in staff rooms, and in the hearts of families of our district. Last year, when I had to give my speech here at this very spot, I remember I really did believe that the district encouraged and appreciated working together with the PFO to help improve our school. I remember how I thanked the district here for all they did for us. This year, I'm not going to lie, my enthusiasm did go out the window. Again, I won't pretend for a second here that I know why what has happened, but I will take this opportunity to speak to you as a PFO president and as a parent that I've had interactions this past year with several district members that were belittling to us as a PFO and as a parent. The disappointment is real, but so is the opportunity. So here I am, still showing up, still hopeful in my own way to say, let's try again. Let's use this pain of this year to push us towards something better, a stronger, more honest partnership, one where the voices of parents, staff, and students are truly being valued and not just listened to and then laughed off. The PFO is already working. The PFO is ready to do the work in helping the district help us making our schools better. We are in the process of setting up a welcome committee to welcome new students who were affected by the school closures. We're doing our best to support our staff and teachers the best way we know how in these difficult times. We are here to support, to collaborate, and to advocate for our school. And we are sincerely hoping that the district will work together with us to be able to help us support our school community. Thank you again for the time, your service, and for listening.
Good evening, President McNally, Superintendent Morales, members of the board, and the community. And congratulations to our awardees, both faculty, classified, and students. My name is Alex Suarez. I am the acting president of our ELAC committee at Hidden Valley. I also serve as the current DLAC Vice President. And it is a pleasure to be here this evening to highlight the many accomplishments and celebrations of our unique school. With only 51 students out of approximately 400 students that our school serves, recruiting for our ELAC committee continues to be a challenge. Nonetheless, we still strive to meet regularly and to seek the involvement of new families in our small but dedicated committee. Our committee has met to discuss the very number of topics and concerns, including controversial topics such as school safety, including the SRO pilot program, summer school offerings, and how this tend to exclude our students in their design. For our school, not meeting Title I classification continues to be a concern. Many of our students are not eligible for summer school programs, in addition to other programs. In addition, members of our community are active in many activities and celebrations that our school organizes. These include events such as the hackathon, our traditional Halloween parade, which is loved by everyone in our community. There's also the Patsaq event, several movie nights, and our family's favorite, ice cream social plus summer read book swap. Nonetheless, for the past few months, our school's community has been consumed with the closure and the consolidation process. And many families have expressed concerns about the transition process. Our community has been very patient throughout this process. More recently, our district shared the unexpected news that Mr. Coscarelli, our current principal, will not be returning the following year. Our ELAC committee condemns the district's decision to dismiss Mr. Coscarelli. Mr. Coscarelli has been with our district for many years, and his leadership has been instrumental to build the community that makes Hidden Valley what Hidden Valley is today. As it relates to ELAC, and in the last 5 years, I personally have been involved in our ELAC's leadership. Our committee has nothing but respect for Mr. Coscarelli. We have appreciated Mr. Coscarelli has always been on top of things, been present and involved in almost every single ELAC meeting, providing the necessary training, the guidance, and moreover, securing a venue for our in-person meetings, facilitating childcare, refreshments for our meetings. He has been there all the time. So thank you, Mr. Coscarelli, for your leadership and for your partnership. On this note, our committee urges the district to reconsider the removal of our principal. We should not be fixing is running, quite frankly, very well from our point of view. Thank you for your time. President McNally, Superintendent Morales, and the members of the board. Our committee looks forward to continue to work with our school and our district to address the concerns of our English-speaking and English-learning community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you both. We will now move on to the reports section of our agenda, starting with the California School Employee Association report. President Mary Lehman.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Let's see if I can do this. Good evening, President McNally, Governing Board, Superintendent Dr. Morales, Student Board Member, and Cabinet members, and everyone joining us on Zoom. I want to thank everyone else for being here tonight. We are Santa Rosa City Schools community. We care about all of our schools and the well-being of all of our students, families, staff, teachers, and admins. CSEA wants to congratulate the Students and Teachers of the Month at Hidden Valley Elementary School. We would like to extend a special thank you to our classified employee, Carlos Silva, who was being honored tonight. Tonight, I'm adding a special presentation. It is for the district office employees of the month. Congratulations and a special thank you to our classified payroll techs, Carla Pera and Violetta Gonzalez, for working extremely hard to ensure that over 650 classified employees are going to receive their 2.7% salary compensation and benefits March 31st. All of us have been waiting for this and continued working tirelessly every day for the last 9 months. Tonight, Superintendent Daisy Morales will receive a vote of no confidence from the majority of SRTA members voting. Right now, CSEA must focus on binding agreements, specifically bargaining the effects of layoffs and school closures. We believe that investing our time and resources into binding agreements is best for our unit at this time. We are scheduled to negotiate this with the district April 3rd. Layoffs and involuntary transfer notices were distributed to classified and certificated employees by the March 15th deadline. Of the some 172 classified who received notices, many still have no idea where they will end up next year and at which site or job their seniority will take them. The uncertainty and pain of not knowing is anxiety that each person carries with them to work every day until it is resolved. It is a constant reminder to each and every one of us that behind every notice is a dedicated worker who is an important part of our community. We must support each other throughout this process. Santa Rosa City School is in the headlines every day, yet not everyone is privy to newspapers or the daily news. Parent Square alone is not the answer either. But what other types of communication do we need to gain back our trust in the district? How do we help our students move forward with the changes that are coming with a positive attitude? We need to be the role models as we move forward. Classified are participating in the transition teams, working with teachers and administrators, planning the work of moving forward. The phrase, "from chaos comes order," comes to mind. Hopefully, structure, stability, and positive change can emerge from all of this. CSEA's mission is to improve the lives of our members, the students, and our community. We all must work together with honesty, compassion, and courage to create something like hashtag Sonoma Strong. Let's create a hashtag Santa Rosa City School Strong community. Let's take care of each other in solidarity. Thank you.
Thank you, President Lehman. Next is our Santa Rosa Teachers Association report. President Catherine Howell.
Good evening, President McNally, Superintendent Morales, members of the board, members of the community, fellow teachers. The members of SRTA have spoken with a 98% vote of no confidence in the district plan for next year, the ability of the district administrators to lead us through the current crisis. The teachers, counselors, nurses, speech language pathologists, and school psychologists have made it clear that we have no confidence in the leadership of Dr. Morales. We ask this board to remove her from her position of superintendent and immediately commence a search for a new leader. We have been vocal with our concerns since before this school year, when we became aware of her vote of no confidence that saw her departure from her previous district, Live Oak. We've been vocal with our concerns throughout the grossly mismanaged and chaotic school closure process, and we are standing united as teachers and educators with our students and community to demand a change in Santa Rosa City Schools leadership. Our students and community deserve better. We deserve leadership that prioritizes stable and supportive learning environments. We deserve leadership that listens to teachers and counselors and school staff and parents and students when considering making changes to our school communities that will drastically alter lives. We desperately need leadership that can lead us out of this year of destabilization and into an era for Santa Rosa City Schools that reestablishes trust and a common vision for the schools that our students deserve. We are risking losing the faith of our students and parents and seeing further drops in enrollment. We risk more decisions without fully thought out execution plans, and we risk losing our most trusted and dedicated teachers and educators to more stable districts. Our financial situation has not improved. There's no assurance or trust that the school closures and layoffs will result in the $25 million in savings that are needed. Our school communities have been disrupted. Attendance boundaries have changed. Families have scrambled to understand their new schools with the closures. Many families have chosen to leave the district rather than navigate the changes. Our support staff has been removed and scattered. With dozens of classified layoffs, schools won't have restorative specialists, family engagement facilitators, yard duty supervisors, familiar office staff, and countless other student and staff supports, the depths of which we cannot even comprehend yet. Our middle school students are being sent to high schools without appropriate learning spaces or facilities. Science, electives, physical education, and athletic programs are all needing to be reimagined because of the move to the 712 model. Our site administrators have been reassigned without input from educators or support staff or families or the Hidden Valley PFO, it sounds like. So now the families, the staff, the educators of these schools are in a chaotic moment, needing to build new relationships with administrators who have no site experience. And in the case of our 712 models, administrators who've never worked at a middle school. We're asking the board to help this city, the families and students of our school communities, the educators, the support staff, and our site administrators. Help us create the schools that attract students to our programs, not drive them away. Don't ignore hundreds of voices crying out for support and change. We demand the Santa Rosa City Schools Board hear our demands and bring competent and transparent leadership to our district so that we may begin the recovery process now. Thank you.
Thank you, President Howell. Next on our agenda is the superintendent's report.
So thank you everyone for being here. I want to acknowledge and express that I've heard the concerns raised by SRTA. President Howell and I met last week. As superintendent, I understand that I represent the organization and the decisions being made. I take that responsibility seriously, and I want to also acknowledge that these decisions, especially the ones in the last several months, have not been made in silos. These are the results of collaboration among district's leaders and Board of Trustees. After lots of conversations, meetings, research, and under a very tight timeline, and while listening to all of the community voices, the Board of Trustees made the decision for the district, made the decisions for the districts that we're working to implement. I want to take us back for a minute to the town halls. In those town halls, we heard, oh, just tell us what schools are going to be closing. We know there is a plan. And we kept sharing, no, there is no plan yet. Plans were started once the board was able to make a final decision, and again, under a tight timeline. There are questions yet to be answered, and we will answer those together as we build this together. We do have areas to improve on. Of course, we are implementing a model that is new to our district, and hence the need for different voices. The success of these decisions don't hinge on one person. It hinges on us all working together and collaborating together. Success is achieved with a team, and when we choose to engage and have the mindset that we teach our students to have, we haven't done this yet. I value the role that SRTA plays in advocating for educators, and I remain committed to the continued collaboration to address all the concerns. I also want to take a moment to speak about the recent changes in school administration. These shifts can understandably bring questions and emotions, especially when there are strong connections with our site leadership. When making these decisions, we're taking into account various needs. Our goal is always to ensure that schools are led by individuals who bring not only relevant background and experience, but also the full leadership capacity to meet the evolving needs of our campuses. This includes
I'm gonna ask the audience that we respect.
This includes a strong instructional foundation, the ability to create and implement future-facing vision for academics as well as for safety and operations, and the ability to build capacity in others and grow programs aligned with student opportunities, especially with the focus on access and in the service of all students. I want to emphasize that these personal matters are confidential. I understand that this is not what people want to hear. While individual employees may choose to share or not share their personal stories, we must keep those conversations confidential. As we transitions, and these transitions are not easy, we are committed to navigating these together. SRTA had the idea that hasn't been tried before in terms of having a survey for all of our staff and community around our administration, and that's something we're looking to implement.
Again, we will have the opportunity to hear from members of the public. That's what public comment is for. I ask that you respect whoever's turn it is to speak.
So again, we're looking to continue the collaboration, and we're excited for what the school leaderships will be able to do in the coming years as we continue to support our students and our school communities. And then in terms of what has been done in the last week, we did a lot of advocacy work this last week at the Capitol on Monday and Tuesday with the Association of California School Administrators. We met with various assemblymen and senators who are the chair for the Education Committee and our state capitol, talking about not only immigration, but also all of the issues facing funding for education, particularly wanting to safeguard our Prop 98 funds and not shortcutting it by $1.6 million. We've also really advocated for keeping our COLA and not shrinking it in the coming months. We're also talking about with the advocacy team around making sure that the funding for the discretionary block grant is maintained. That's one of the block grants that were represented in the scenario during our second interim report. We're also advocating for our subs to be able to stay with us 60 days and not 30 days like currently is stated, as well as we advocated for funding around enrollment and not just ADA. This past Thursday, Dr. Castro and I met with Senator McGuire, he in Santa Rosa. He asked questions about our challenges, and he is looking for ways to support us. And then this week, I also was able to visit our warehouse and our duplicating department and seeing the work that they're doing there, as well as being able to look at some ledgers from 1877 and 1904. And today I was able to visit Burbank and Brook Hill, where students were learning to read, also using iReady, and the team of students that are learning to play marimba. And it was a great way to start the day this morning. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Morales. All right, my report tonight is less a report of actions taken and more a report of my intentions, which are to spend more time face-to-face with stakeholders and community partners. During the closure and consolidation process, I felt it was important for me to respect the committee's work. And so I didn't want to show any bias, so I wasn't spending time on campuses. I would like to get back to doing that. So again, I've said this before, I want to ask if there's anything going on at your school site that you want me to see or you want me to know about, reach out. I am a full-time teacher, so I do have to take time off from work, but I am committing to do that if there are people that want to meet with me. I know that recently President Howell asked me to meet. I was unavailable, but I made sure that 2 of our trustees did meet with her. And if there are further concerns, I will make myself available now. The same goes to President Lehman. If CSEA has concerns, I'm always happy to meet. I've been in communication with Chief Cregan after last night's vote. He and I are planning to meet when we can find a time that works for us to work together on how our collaboration with the police department is going to go. I'm also hoping to meet soon with the mayor, maybe some of our city council members. So that is my commitment, that I'm going to be working with you, with our stakeholders, with our community partners. There are other board member reports? Trustee Jenkins?
I just have a very short one, just with some stuff happening in Montgomery this week. If I can remember what we're doing. It is Unity Week next week. Is that correct? I'm looking at you, Mr. LaFrance. Yes, Unity Week next week. I'm very excited for the students. More importantly, though, is tomorrow night with our Anchors Away, welcoming in incoming 7th through 9th graders. I'm excited to be present at that, just to kind of see what's going on. And I've been very encouraged by the support at the Montgomery campus with parents and staff and admin, for what I'm hearing, with welcoming in the 7th and 8th graders on campus next year, excuse me. And then Alumni Association is hosting their polenta feed this weekend too, which should be a good time. And that's it.
Other board member reports? Trustee Caston?
Also, just briefly, since the last meeting, I had the opportunity to meet with a group of ArtQuest students. One of the parents hosted us in their living room and discussed some of the issues surrounding some of the things that happened over the last year there. It was really good to talk to them and hear their concerns, and much of it's stuff I'm actually going to bring back to our work in the board policy subcommittee. Also, I attended the Santa Rosa Middle School transition meeting with both the teams from Santa Rosa High and Santa Rosa Middle. I thought Dr. O'Connor did a really good job facilitating that, and the presentation and a lot of the decisions have been reported out in other places, but the meeting itself was positive, and I got to hear from many of the parents directly. And lastly, tomorrow morning, we have the first subcommittee meeting with the Sonoma County Office of Education on the supports that they're going to be providing the district over the next 6 to 7 months. So that's my update.
Trustee Kirby?
Just a quick reminder that tomorrow evening is the last presentation for the SRPD and Violence Prevention Partnership roadshow about the dangers of fentanyl and gang violence. It's at Maria Correa High School, 5:30 to 7 p.m.
Any other trustee reports? Student board member Zuniga, do you have a report?
This is less of a report, but just to share, I was reached out by 3 8th graders from Santa Rosa Middle, Khalil, Axel, and Jose. And they wanted to share about a campaign they're working on called the Reduced Plastic Method. And they reached out asking for our district to adapt ways of in reducing our single-use plastic waste to make sure. Yeah. This is huge for 8th graders to reach out, but to reduce our single-use plastic waste and find better ways to recycle and actually have places to recycle on campuses because of how inaccessible sometimes these things can be, and especially at the high school that I go to, it is inaccessible. And so I responded saying that we were working with Ed Burke, the nutritional advisor for the district, and have been trying to find ways to reduce our waste food-wise, but also with the ridiculous amount of single-use plastics that our food is wrapped in. And so they also expressed concerns about the microplastics that are in the foods they're eating, because the EPA has found at least 1,500 different species, not including individual animals and humans, with amounts of microplastics in their bodies. Yeah, so shout out to Khalil, Axel, and Jose. You guys are awesome. Thank you. And I will take action.
Thank you. Next is our school consolidation and transition report.
The team comes to the table to answer questions. We wanted to highlight that we included in the assembly report a drawing of how our teams are working together and collaborating. And let me bring that up. So again, we wanted to bring clarity onto how the teams are working together, and the flow of work, and also the decision-making process. As we've shared in previous meetings, we've really wanted to have a lot of the decisions, most of the decisions take place at our Empower teams, and Dr. Castro can speak more to that work. And in line with what the board has given in terms of direction and focus for the work that they want to see done in the years, in the months ahead, and also in future years. The implementation team is made up of our executive directors and the directors in all of the different departments. They are producing the documents every week in terms of what the work is being done, decisions that are being made. And the design team, which really is like a steering team that puts together the weekly updates for the community, as well as works to schedule all of the meetings, the listening sessions that we're doing, the evening sessions that we're doing with families. And that's how the information flows. We really want the information to flow from the empowered teams and move up in terms of us sharing the information that is being done by our empowered teams and the boot on the ground. And I'll turn it over to the team to talk about what the empowered teams have been working on. I know spring break was last week, so we're getting back into the swing of things, and then speak to anything else that will be happening in the next coming weeks. And I know that SPED has something they want to share. Will be official more in a future meeting, but we'll have to make some changes in terms of some of the moves. So turn it over to the team.
I think one of the things we'd like to provide a little bit of an update on would be the elementary readiness plan. We didn't have an opportunity to do that last time. Between the last board meeting and this one, there were 3 work days, so not really a lot going on in terms of on campus. So, but we did want to be able to provide that sort of work. So I'm going to have Elisa Haley step in and provide a little bit of that information right now.
I'm not going to sit on the left. You're not. So I just want to inform you a little bit about the elementary groups. They're gung-ho. They're doing a great job. The principals have really worked with their teams to really figure out how to welcome the new students to their sites that they'll be going to. So, for example, we sat yesterday with a group of principals, and they're deciding, okay, what is open house going to look like? How can we make sure that people feel welcome at their new schools? I've got emails from teachers saying, I'm not on the Empower team, but here's an idea. So people are like really, they're excited and want to make sure everybody's welcome. They're having every month, there's 2 schools that are closing, Albert Biela and Brook Hill, an event for the families. One example is May 9th, I think it is. I'm looking at Pam, maybe she knows. For Albert Biela, they're actually going to have all the alumni back that have been there from day one. They'll have all the old admin. They're going to have a barbecue. They're having movie nights another month. So they're all planning things like that. And then another, I think is really positive, is they're actually collecting all the data about students and saying, this student really works well with this student. We really want to make sure they're going to be together in a class because we do not want any child to go to a new class, to a new school, and not feel that they have somebody safe to be with. So they're really working towards that. They're sharing information, and that's pretty much, I think, it. They're doing a really good job. Sure. Tomorrow, we will be having our first Empowered team with Montgomery and Slater. So we're looking forward to that. Slater has done a lot of work with their team, and Montgomery's done work with their team, and tomorrow we get to do the work together.
Video that we've made. Yeah. Thank you, Lisa.
Show it.
We've also, as part of the campaign in terms of improving communication, we have a nice video that we've created in terms of welcoming students to the junior, senior campuses. Mr. Hodgman can talk a little bit about that. I don't know if we're prepared to actually share it, but if you want to say a few words about it.
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, if you can pull it up on your computer there, you can share it. I don't know if you can. So there's a concerted effort right now to try to reach out to our community and reach them and answer what they need. So a lot of them are saying they want more information. And so this past week, I put together just a short little video clip with Principal Santos about the welcome event that they're having at Montgomery tomorrow night to kind of showcase that and welcome people to the campus and give them a sense of what school is going to be like next year. It's on our YouTube page. It's been put out by Parent Square. It's on our social media platforms. And also, in line with communication, we understand that not everybody is on social media. Not everybody's going to our website. Not everybody's going to get a Parent Square. So this past week, we sent out the information that we released regarding to our Empower team updates and our transition and consolidation efforts. We sent those to each site, and they were printed at each site in English and Spanish, so they could be printed off and handed out to whoever wanted them. And we'll continue doing that as we send out our weekly updates. Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and, you trying to pull that up? We're going to try to pull that up as we continue to present some of the updates.
Sure, I can chime in. Dr. Morales alluded to a potential change in the plan with respect to SPED. And I walked the campus with our program manager principal for the Lewis Early Learning Academy. In our current plan, there had been a plan to bring our 2 preschool SDC classes to Biela for the Biela campus, I should say, for 25-26. Upon review of the site, the classrooms that had bathrooms were not preschool appropriate bathrooms. And working with facilities, we made a determination that it would be best to wait till 26-27 when we plan to bring the 4 preschool classes that are currently at Steel Lane over to Biela as well and bring them all over at the same time. That would give maintenance and operations a chance to develop appropriate bathrooms at the site, et cetera. In addition to that, the Biela campus has pods of 6 classrooms, which we think would be perfect because we have 6 SDC classrooms at the preschool level. So we wouldn't have to move them after a year. This will be brought to the board, I think, in a couple of weeks, most likely. One other piece that I can update with respect to special education, we've been working with SCO and I have met with SELPA and SCO recently to determine ways that SCO and SELPA can support us in this transition. And we've come up with several ways. Coming up relatively soon, we plan to have a community meeting for special education parents hosted in Santa Rosa. We're looking at sites right now where to host that, but in mid-April. We had a parent meeting at SELPA before, so this is another opportunity to potentially answer questions and allay the concerns of parents who may be transitioning to new sites. In addition, as you probably know, we're bringing a number of students back from SCO, so we have transitions there. And then the last piece, as we do on a yearly basis, we have a number of students transitioning from feeder districts, and this will be an opportunity to, again, answer questions. We have almost all the sites completely identified and set in terms of facilities. There's some question marks on a couple of them, and so we're in discussions to finalize a couple of spaces. As I've learned, the most important facilities issue in my world right now is the availability of bathrooms. And that is determining a lot of site placement at this point. But in addition to that, I've asked SELPA to support us in terms of behavioral training for classrooms and teachers as students transition to new schools. And they said they'd be able to do that this year and in the fall.
One more thing on my end before I forget, to battle the constant barrage of misinformation that you get sometimes and that we are dealing with. We created a frequently asked question sheet. So as these questions come in, we're actually going to be answering them and posting permanent answers there. Be able to put that up on the website that we have now for the transition. And as questions come in, we'll just be permanently posting responses for the community to go to so that they don't have to keep going back over and over and over to the, and it'll hopefully allay and assuage some of those concerns as those questions come in.
From Wellness and Engagement, it's been an incredibly busy couple of weeks. We closed the final window for intra-district transfers, and we received this year around 1,280 transfer requests to attend a school other than their neighborhood school in Santa Rosa. This is higher than it has been in the last few years. However, it's really kind of getting back to the 2018, 2019 years where we were during those times receiving over 1,000 transfer requests as well. But just a couple of talking points that are kind of interesting. Within those two windows, both back in October and the March 1st, all of the families who were able to turn in those requests, our goal was to be able to notify families of the outcome by the end of spring break. We were actually able to do that by the Tuesday during spring break. So it was a lot of effort, a lot of heavy lifting, but we were able to do it. Of those 1,280 requests, about 1,038 were approved. There are 276 transfers that had to be placed on waiting lists at two of our schools, both Santa Rosa High School and Maria Carrillo. And families are requesting appeals, and we are setting those up for the week of April 7th. This is going to allow us to both protect the space that's necessary for neighborhood students at the schools, as well as honoring students' requests and desire to be with their siblings or participating in special programs.
Our facilities team, excuse me, is working with our purchasing group, and there will be coming forward on April 9th, a pool of moving companies that we will use for these moves coming up as well as into the future. One of the things that we want to be very cognizant of is that we are going through a vetting process and a competitive process so that when we are looking at including costs for potential reimbursement from state matching funds, that we've gone through that competitive pool. So that will be coming forward to the board on April 9th. And we will have information out, hopefully by the end of this week, a timeline regarding packing materials and dumpsters, recycling, things like that for school sites to be ready. So I know Dr. Zans is not here available, so I will share that we did meet with SRTA yesterday related to our bargaining on the impacts of closure and consolidation. And we will be, as Mary Lehman talked about, we will be meeting to negotiate impacts with them as well. excuse me, I'll go ahead and hand it over to James to give a little more on the communication, and we will close with the video. I am able to share that.
All right, and so I just want to add to the webpage that we put together, and we're going to be adding to it. It's on our main page of our website in the center. You can click on it. It's called Transition Plan. And we have a frequently asked questions section there. And at the very bottom, I know it's all in English there, but we're going to provide Spanish there as well. If you hit submit a question here, you'll pull up a Google form that's in English and Spanish. And anybody in the community can go there and ask any question that comes to mind. Transportation, programs, education, staffing, whatever question you have, please ask. And we will do our best to get those questions answered in a timely manner, and we'll add them to the FAQ on our on that webpage. Thank you.
Board questions? Trustee Jenkins?
I had a clarifying question for John. Just to make sure I heard this right. Are you saying that are we leaving Biela empty for a year? Is that the new plan?
I'm going to segue to Lisa on that.
So at this point, it may be that it's more effective for us to leave that as not in use so that we can actually do the construction that's needed there, the renovations, to make and move everybody at once from the Leela campus, the Steel Lane campus, and our partners. Or it may be a transition of some of the partners first and then the remaining later. We want to make sure that we have adequate facilities there, and the issue is again around the number of restrooms in the classrooms because if you remember the Leela, they're the really little, so it is a little bit of a facilities issue.
I'm concerned that that sounds like a lot of money again.
As we wouldn't be operating it, it's actually because we do have solar there, we would actually be selling back to PG&E at a likely net profit for that year. It would give us the opportunity to make facility adjustments, and it actually would not necessarily be anything it would be more of a savings than a loss.
You mean Leela though? Like
Leela, we wouldn't be able to move everything all at once, which we had talked about transitioning that partial 1 year and the rest the next year. So really what it does is it keeps us from operating 2 facilities and consolidates it into one while we do the upgrades and then move everybody at once. So it's actually likely a more of a cost savings to do it in that way.
is it more like the Steel Lane littles would go to Leela for this?
No, the Steel Lane littles would stay where they're at Leela because they weren't going to move until that second year anyway.
Right.
So they would still stay where they're
I thought
at.
everybody was moving the
No,
first year.
no, it was going to be because we knew that it wouldn't be ready for everyone in that first year. So it was a 2-year transition. It's likely just that we would have it all in the second year transition for the littles.
Right, so the plan would be all 6 move at once. Originally, we had understood that there were 2 bathrooms available, rooms with bathrooms available at Biela, hence potentially moving the 2 Leela classes. And then again, upon walking the site, it turned out those bathrooms weren't adequate at this time. And so again, as Lisa mentioned, we would be moving all 6 preschool classes at the same time instead of a staggered 2 and 4.
Other questions? Trustee Caston?
I want to follow up, and I recognize those 3 work days in the last 2 weeks for everyone, but I'd very much like at our next meeting to have a part of this be the discussion about the work around the 504 accommodation transitions and what we're doing to capture the 504 accommodations that we currently have in our database and what we're going to do to make sure that those students are not lost in this transition. Unless you have the update today, in which case I'd love to hear it.
I've had one meeting with a coordinator about that since we last spoke.
Okay.
He's working on it, yes.
So if we can have that fuller update on that as part of the next one, I'm going to continue to worry until one of these written reports actually has 504 in it and it's not a part of a zip code.
I actually told him that. So
Okay,
yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Trustee Kirby?
One other follow-up. I know it was short turnaround with spring break and the enrollment just closing. But perhaps for the next meeting, if we could get a further breakdown, like the intra-district, inter-district transfers, as well as site-specific, like how many students are in and out of each of our sites. Is that possible for the next meeting? Is it possible to get that?
If you'd like, I did bring a couple of slides that we could review. I didn't know about the amount of time we would have, but we do have the ability to show some slides. Yeah.
Sure, if you could show that now, that'd be great. Thank you.
It's called 526 open enrollment district. So it is important to know that what I'm not here to share tonight is information about the projected enrollment of each school sites. Just start with. No. No, sorry. She opened the wrong one. It's the 25, 26. There. That's the one. There we go. Let's start on slide 5. Mhm. All right. So again, just reminding all of us that in a traditional normal year, we only have one open window for open enrollment, and that is from October 1st to November 15th. And that's when all transfer typically closes. And then we try to inform families by January 31st. Because of the strange situation this year, next slide, we actually opened 2 windows this year. We had one window that allowed families to request a transfer between October and November, like we normally do. And then in February, the board reached some conclusions on closure and consolidation. We opened a second transfer window from March 1st to March 15th. And while the families and students were enjoying their spring break, a team from information and evaluation and myself analyzed the requests that we received. And by the 19th, we were able to notify families of the outcome of their transfers. So it is important to, and we don't have to go through the process of the next 2 slides, just talking about what is an open enrollment intra-district transfer. Actually, can you back up 1 slide? We did make an adjustment under Administrative Regulations 5116.1 to adjust the priorities. So as we shared in previous meetings, we wanted to make sure that when we look at the number of transfers, there is often, not always, but often, the situation where there are more requests than space available at schools. And we have used a priority system where we approve transfer requests in waves, allowing continuing students to stay where they are. And what we've done this year is make adjustments to elevate, because concurrently enrolled siblings used to be the 5th place or the 5th priority. It's now the 2nd, so that we could ensure that students got to stay with their concurrently enrolled siblings. We brought schools that are impacted by closure and consolidation to the 3rd. It didn't exist before because we didn't deal with that. We moved children, both site and district employees, to 4th. Displaced to natural disaster, we felt it was important to keep that, even though it's a very rarely used one now after the impact of the fires back in 17, 18, and 19. And then honoring the students that are accepted into specialized programs. The 7th is kind of the catch-all, any other reason other than the ones that are listed there. And if declined, as always, through our administrative regulations and policy, families can suggest and request an appeal. And we have those, that panel being created, and we plan to do that after the 10 days closes on April 2nd. So the next slide. This was just a slide kind of listing some, not exhaustive, of the specialty programs that are at each of our high schools. Next slide. And so what you see here, these are the actual requests by each school. So what were the schools that received the most number of requests? What you see here is that schools like Carrillo and Santa Rosa High, and this is nothing new this year, as in all years, they tend to get the most number of requests. And you see just, column by column, how many requests were done at each school. So the next, this attempts to capture the main reasons that people were asking for requests. The highest number of requests really do fall into the all other reasons. And then this year, as one of the newest areas, students who were impacted either by boundary changes, closure, or consolidation. So that is that second highest number of requests. Students in the feeder district, students who have a concurrently enrolled sibling or are continuing their enrollment. All of these are the different transfer reasons. This looks incredibly similar to the same information that happens year after year. Next slide. Yes. Sarah. Sorry, Trustee Jenkins, I apologize.
That is okay. Can you go back one? Where would I know we talk a lot about the middles, but if people had a preference to stay with 7-8 versus going to the 7-12, where does that fall in here?
Well, most of the students that would be requesting that were students who were impacted by closure and consolidation. So that would fall under category 3, impacted by, if I had written all boundary changes, consolidation, and closure, you wouldn't be able to read it. So it cut off at the boundary part. That's where those families fall in.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Unless they had a sibling and then they
Right.
chose other reasons. The reason that families chose is at their discretion. And with 1,200, I will assure you, there was hundreds of them that would call me and ask, which should I choose? And we did a lot of counseling and coaching families about where they might fall. But most families self-describe the reason behind. So this is just showing you that information over time that I was alluding to, that this year is a high number of transfer requests. But if you go back pre-pandemic, it was relatively similar to what you saw in both 2018-19 and 2019-20. You can see some of those trends. The reason that Learning House is on there is because during the pandemic, Learning House existed. It did fade out, but we want to capture it as part of the information. Next slide. This is looking at it over time. One of the things that people sometimes ask is, why do you see continuing students twice? Why do you see concurrently enrolled twice? That's because the top little table was during October and November. The bottom little table, that was during the March 1st through March 15th. Next slide. So this is one of the most interesting little pieces of data. And I really enjoy looking at this table because it gives kind of a big picture of what we see from each of the schools. And what this shares is how many students are wanting to go to a school as opposed to how many students are requesting to go to a school other than their neighborhood school. And you are able to see that there are some schools that have more students asking to stay there and more students in other schools, the ones in the red on the balance, where we have more students asking to leave the school than to attend there. These trends are relatively stable. There are a couple of schools that always get more requests to attend than leave. There's a few schools that will go through slight dips or, like 2 or 3 year trends. But you can see here that there are some schools where there are more students asking to exit than enter, and some that have more students asking to enter than exit. You will notice that none of this includes any of the charters because the charters have their own process. Next slide. And then this was just the summary that I shared earlier. The fact that we were able to honor over 1,000 requests to transfer was, I think that that's wonderful because it honors the fact that our community has specialty programs and connections to a school that may not be the one that's their neighborhood school. But unfortunately, with our current situation, we were not able to say yes to everybody because we have to maximize our enrollment at all of the schools. We are now working with families to get them registered. And it's the most important part because some of our families who have applied are applying from outside of our district because they're now becoming ours, and we need them in that student information system as quickly as possible. So that's the work that Mr. Hodgman is doing to try to get that information out there. We've been on a number of different radio stations in addition to the newspaper and email and flyers.
Thanks again for putting that together. I really appreciate it. And I know it's a short time frame to get all that information together. And I think it's important for our community, transparency, just to see what's happening with all this consolidation that we're doing. So thank you again for that work.
Any other board questions? Okay, I just want to make absolutely sure that I don't accidentally skip a public comment. Is Patrick Atchison here? You originally wrote D7, but looks like you maybe crossed it out? Okay, are you comfortable with waiting for non-agenda items? Okay. We will get to you. Okay. All right, so I don't see any other blue cards on this item.
President McNally, would you like me to show the video?
Oh, yes, please do.
Let me see if I can get to it now. Sorry, just trying to make sure. Now oh my goodness. Let me try this one more time. Let's get in here and zoom. Sorry. Okay, you have to do it this way, I think.
On Thursday, March 27th, 6 to 7:30 p.m.
Nope. Never tried doing it this way.
I'm April Santos, principal of Montgomery High School. I want to welcome everyone to the Acres Away event that we're holding here at Montgomery on Thursday, March 27th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. This event is to welcome our
Maybe you could just tell us where to find the video instead.
Yes, it is.
Went out on Parent Square.
Here.
All right, so if you go to our website, can you pull up our website right quick? I'll show you guys where this is at on our page. Go to our main page. It is on our YouTube page, but I don't think a lot of people in this room go to our YouTube page. Anybody go to our YouTube page? I got a couple of hands, all right. All right, so transition plan right there at the top. Click that one for me. You scroll down, this is also in the works. We're adding to this each day. So scroll down and till you hit secondary, redesign and engage. Scroll down and hit play. Right there. Tell me this got audio. Maybe not. Okay, I'm sorry, folks, but if you go there, that's where you'll watch the video, and she's actually speaking. And if you go back to the website, the transition plan page, yeah, scroll down. I want to point this out to everybody. Keep going all the way down to the very bottom. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Where it says submit a question here. Click that for me. All right, that'll pop up that survey. So if you have a question and you can submit your questions in English or in Spanish, please submit your questions. All right. There's no question that's not it's a silly question. We want to make sure we capture everything that's on your minds. Please share your questions. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for showing us that. And it sounds like we're going to try to move that up further on the page. All right. Okay. So we are going to move on now to public comment on non-agenda and consent items. I want to say before we start, I know some of you are here to comment on particular administrators, and I am going to allow that tonight. But I want to ask that in the future, if you have a comment on a specific administrator, we actually have a closed session agenda item where we discuss administrator performances. So I want to ask that in the future, if you want to bring those comments, please comment on the closed session agenda item before closed session. Closed session is the only time that we get to discuss personnel issues. So it's more helpful for us if we hear your comments before we go into that closed session. But I want to make sure that everyone is heard tonight. So for this meeting, we are going to take those comments during non-agenda items. For tonight, let's see, based on the number of cards I have, I'm going to allow 2 minutes each, and I'm going to alternate between student and non-student cards. I'll read 3 names at a time. When you hear your name, please go up to either of our podiums. I think that's it. So first is going to be Kaylin Wen, followed by Martin Resnick, followed by Rodrigo Rojas.
Good evening. My name is Kaylin Wen, and I'm a current junior at Carrillo, as well as a member on Dr. Morales' student council. This Friday marks the point where the 2 weeks have passed since our peaceful protest on the 14th. Us students managed to rally together over 500 people in less than a day to come out and show up to your office, and none of you bothered to come out and acknowledge us. Even now, after 2 weeks, we still have not heard a response, and we faced even more cuts, including our assistant principal and even my teacher. We clearly can see that your team is very set on your current plan and that layoffs make economical sense, but what is economical versus what is beneficial are not always the same. Removing the current staff from not just Carrillo, but other students or other schools in the district at a time like this is wrong, and replacing them with new staff won't fix the connections you've broken. Replacing them with an entirely new panel of staff it makes no sense when we have a panel that works. You don't try to fix what's not broken. As juniors, my peers and I have been trying to focus on college and our futures, which seems impossible when our minds are occupied with issues like this. Why is Carrillo designated as the only school with 0 confirmed counselors and administrators? If you believe that uprooting our staff is in the students' best interest, you're completely misguided. Not only are you expecting us to accept the change that you're enacting, but also endure its consequences, you're asking too much from your community. Though I don't know why these mistakes are being forgiven, I do know that my peers and I deserve to have our incredible counselors like Ms. Beamish by our side for our future endeavors. I do know that more students deserve to learn more music from Mr. Boker next year, and I do know that I was meant to shake Principal Weiss's hand at graduation. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Martin Resnick, followed by Rodrigo Rojas, followed by Casey Maturena. Is Martin Resnick here? Martine? All right, we'll come back to him later. So Rodrigo Rojas.
Hi, my name is Rodrigo Rojas Garfias, and I am the Vice President at MCHS and a member of Dr. Morales' Student Council. 2 weeks ago from tomorrow, we found out that our principal, Ms. Weiss, would not be returning to Carrillo next year and was told she was not a good fit for Carrillo. I can tell you, my peers and I were shocked and quickly mobilized to protest. By lunch, I had received a message from Dr. Morales asking for an emergency meeting after school for my fellow members of the MCHS Student Leadership Council. At the meeting, I asked Superintendent Dr. Morales point blank why the district decided to lay off Principal Weiss and why she was not considered a good fit for Maria Carrillo. Dr. Morales responded that she was not in the room for the meeting where Dr. Zanz officially told Ms. Weiss that she will not have a job in the Santa Rosa City School District for next year. Dr. Morales was not aware of which of the 4 notices Principal Weiss received as to why she was being let go. The only thing Morales could confirm is that the decision was for the safety and interest of staff and students, which as a student, I couldn't disagree more, and the same could be said from any student, staff, or family from Maria Carrillo. As of now, I have been the only member of Maria Carrillo that includes staff and students that has been contacted by Dr. Morales about the recent administrative and staff layoffs. I think it is very interesting that Dr. Morales was not present during the meeting where they released Ms. Weiss, and once again surprised to learn that she has not reached out to anybody from our school community to check in with the school. I believe and ask that our sites deserve more communication from the superintendent to further explain just how all these decisions are in the interest of supporting Maria Carrillo and the students, so we could begin to trust the people and process that put us in this situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Casey Maturena, followed by Callie Ritter, followed by Nick Allen.
Good evening. I'm here to support Sarah O'Connor, who has led Santa Rosa Middle School for almost 3 years with grit, grace, and an incredible, unbreakable spirit. Her ability to stay positive and focused on solution-based conversations is amazing. I am concerned about the early years of the 7 through 12 model and how quickly it can go astray if our leaders do not lead with the convincing positive vision that Sarah has been able to guide us with these past few years. The importance of staff buy-in is imperative. Sarah can get this. The honest thoughts being thrown around include a ton of disbelief that the 7 through 12 model will work, and many feelings of betrayal. Keeping Sarah on board as you move most of us from Santa Rosa Middle School to Santa Rosa High School will keep a team that is thriving because of her together and working hard. Teachers are going above and beyond to support students in so many creative ways because Sarah shared a vision, has built trust among us, and continues to model what it looks like to lead with love for our students. I hope that you look at our Youth Truth Survey. We are in 17 out of 18 categories on top. We had 100% students, 100% staff, and the second highest families turn in the results. Please consider Sarah O'Connor and keep her with us as we move to Santa Rosa High School. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Callie Ritter, followed by Nick Allen, followed by Max Cook. Is Callie Ritter here?
Hi, I am Callie Ritter, the senior class president at Maria Carrillo High School. During my first year at MCHS, I was introduced to the idea of a wellness festival, a space for students to access numerous local resources that support them through any stress they may be experiencing. Ever since, I look forward to working with our school therapist, Megan, and our school psychologist, Darcy, to hold this annual event. With the counseling department settling, the restorative center opening, and more events being held to help students academically and emotionally, it felt like Carrillo was making amazing progress in expanding and strengthening student support systems, especially during a time when it is known that adolescent mental health is declining. In fact, according to the World Health Organization, 1 in 7 adolescents experience some form of mental health disorder. This should be something you are very familiar with, yet you still have chosen to cut all of the counselors at MCHS who are helping fight this issue by learning to understand the Puma community, leaving us vulnerable and uncertain about the upcoming year. This is in the best interest of the students. It's a rationale you have used numerous times to justify your actions, but please explain to me how stripping students of the counselors they are already built relationship with and found consistent support with is at all helpful to us. Explain to me how taking away the people that the students depend upon and need the most help from is in our best interest. If you want to achieve this transition as a united community, then please reinstate the staff who have continually brought us together and start giving clear answers as to why you are taking these drastic actions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Nick Allen, followed by Max Cook, followed by Trevor Brady.
Good evening. My name is Nick Allen. I'm a special education teacher at CREO for the District RISE program. The District RISE program supports students with autism on the big campus, and we're a magnet program from non-public schools to our campuses. We have a high school program at Piner and at CREO, and we have a waiting list for a third classroom next school year. And part of that success, I think, is the stability and the consistency of our admin at CREO, with people such as Caleb Brady Long and Mrs. Weiss. They not only know my students very well, welcome them by their names, they know what supports they need to keep that safe environment and that consistency on campus. I just think the chaos of an entirely new admin team would be very difficult for my students to be successful. I'm not being glib when I tell you and I tell my students that it's okay to make mistakes. That's how we learn. But when you have the information, such as the overwhelming support of the admin team, it takes strength and courage to reevaluate your position and fix the mistake. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Max Cook, followed by Trevor Brady, followed by DJ Shea.
I expected a little bit less time, so this is going to be shorter. But seeing as all these decisions have been made with students in mind, I think it's time you hear from us. So this is my student perspective of Ms. Weiss. Every morning, Ms. Weiss is the first person at school to greet me by name and with a smile. She does this for as many students as she can, doing her best to ensure that we start our days on a positive note. Like all of our administrative staff, she's incredibly approachable and has been going above and beyond in all of her duties since day one, even as vice principal. Students see this. I see this. Why can't you? The effort that she's put into CREO shows just how much she cares. She volunteers her time for dances and athletic events, never shies away from greeting Puma families. As I've worked with her in these spaces, I've been able to see that she loves what she does. She loves our students, and it is this passion that has motivated me to give more of my time to this community. Her leadership is spectacular and makes every student feel welcome and included. She is a great fit, and it's disrespectful and simply offensive to say anything else. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Trevor Brady, followed by DJ Shea, followed by Charlene Simmons.
Hello, my name is Trevor Brady, and I've been an educator at Maria Carrillo High School for 13 years. I come before you tonight with a deep sense of disappointment regarding the personnel changes being made at Maria Carrillo High School and across the district. The decisions have been made seem to create more uncertainty and chaos in an already uncertain time for Santa Rosa City Schools. As of now, none of the 4 administrators at Maria Carrillo have been notified that they will be returning next year. The anxiety this creates for all involved, staff, students, and community is immeasurable. For new admin, this means scrambling to learn the culture and procedures of the new school. For staff, it means adjusting to the new leadership, new expectations, and uncertainty about the direction of the school. And for students who rely on stability and strong leadership, it means spending yet another year uncertain about who will be guiding them. This is not just about Maria Carrillo, as every site is feeling the weight of administrative reshuffling and program losses. This is a request for the Human Resource Department to reconsider the impact of these changes, not just at Carrillo, but across the district. Our schools deserve stability, not upheaval. I also urge the board to demand more transparency from our district leaders in explaining how these actions will lead to better outcomes for students and schools. I continue to read and hear from Dr. Morales that we are to trust the decisions she and her council make. However, trust is not something you ask for. Rather, trust is built through consistent, thoughtful actions over time. Trust is about doing what is right and doing things right. Right now, these decisions do not instill trust. They create fear, confusion, and frustration. Our students, staff, and community deserve better. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is DJ Shea, followed by Charlene Simmons, followed by Tyson Russler.
Hello, can you hear me? Hi, my name is DJ Shea. I'm currently the ASB president at Maria Carrillo. Miss Weiss has proven time and time again how she has navigated us through all kinds of struggles. Serving as vice principal with her 7 years in the Carrillo family, she assisted through COVID, several fires, and campus violence. Beyond student connection, our U-Truth survey results just show how much of a positive impact she's made from the feedback both from students and parents. Our school is the only school in the district with a positive trajectory in student enrollment, attendance, safety, education, mental health, and even participation in extracurriculars. Specifically, according to the U-Truth survey question, MCHS is now in the 84th percentile in terms of student belonging and peer collaboration of all California schools. In her time as principal, families have reported a 20% increase of the statement, "I am proud of my school," from 71% to 91%. She has also made a significant impact on staff as they have responded with 40% increase in the statement, "Where my school is managed effectively," from 49% to 84% in agreement. In her time as principal, staff responded with an 18% up to 61% increase in school safety. Now, in her time as principal, families' response to my child's learning environment is saved improved from 28%. This was from 52% to 80%. Additionally, even with the Western Association of Schools and Colleges, an accrediting body that provides accreditation to public and private schools that ensures a focus on quality in education and continuous improvement, recommended that Maria Carrillo maintained consistent administration. So I don't know what you mean when you say Miss Weiss is not a good fit, but we have the data.
Thank you. Next is Charlene Simmons, followed by Tyson Russler, followed by Margaret Boone.
Hello. Hello, my name is Charlene Simons. I am a teacher at Maria Carrillo High School and a parent of 3 graduates from Maria Carrillo High School. And I have no idea as to who my administration and my counseling team will be next school year. And right now at Carrillo, we have a great administrative team and a great counseling team. I have no clue why the principal, Amy Weiss, is being taken away. I hear from Dr. Daisy Morales and Dr. Vicky Zanz that Amy Weiss is not a good fit, but I am on campus. I teach there. I'm with my fellow teachers, my students. I know that Amy Weiss is an awesome fit at Maria Carrillo High School. Principal Amy Weiss has been a wonderful principal this school year, as well as a terrific vice principal for the previous 6 years at Maria Carrillo High School. And I knew her even before then when she was a really great principal at Rincon Valley Charter School Sequoia campus, where my children went to. So Dr. Morales, you're in your first year here as our superintendent, and you're learning the role of how to be a superintendent here in Sonoma County. And I hear that we should give you a chance. But yet, that same grace is not being offered to Principal Amy Weiss in her first year in her role as principal at Maria Carrillo High School. And Principal Amy Weiss, as you heard from the data, thank you, DJ Shea, and from all of the speakers, that she's already demonstrated what a great, awesome fit she is for Maria Carrillo. So I ask you, why is she not
Your time
being
is up.
offered the grace?
Thank you.
Why not?
Next is Tyson Russler, followed by Margaret Boone, followed by Ashley Lovelace.
My name is Tyson Resler. I teach ninth grade at Maria Carrillo. I'm here to call on the board to reinstate the admin teams at all sites. We all understand that we're facing challenging and difficult times ahead. That's why we need the stability, or all the stability we can get. Our schools all need the experienced and trusted admin teams who know their sites, who know their communities, to guide them through the coming changes. The firings and movements of our admins only serve to create more needless chaos when we can least afford it. This year, for the first time in my entire career, Carrillo finally had a complete team of admins, and we've improved by every metric. But now my school has no admins, no counselors for the next year, and we've received no explanation and no communication from the district office about their plans for us. To be frank, an incompetent superintendent and district office would occasionally make the right decision by accident. They have consistently made the wrong choices, and I can only view their actions as malicious at this point. If one wanted to destroy our schools, this is exactly the damage you would choose to do. I have no confidence in the ability or the intent of Dr. Morales or a district office to lead us effectively or fairly. I will hold my thanks until after you've acted to protect our schools and our communities. And President McNally, I invite you to come and visit with our admin team and see how amazing they are.
Yes.
Thank you. Next is Margaret Boone, followed by Ashley Lovelace, followed by Stacy McGarva.
Good evening. I'm sharing comments from our teacher who teaches our newcomer students, Peyton Freitas. She said, with the inclusion of Slater, our site will have the highest population of newcomer students in the district, and Mercedes Thompson is the only administrator that speaks fluent Spanish. With no FEFs on campus, it will be essential to have her for this, among many other reasons. I wanted to add my 2 cents as well. Having a strong administrator who has worked at both Slater and Montgomery campuses already should be enough of a reason to keep Mercedes Thompson. Add to that fact that she is bilingual. I teach the math class. I have just 9 students and 6 of them whose parents' first language is Spanish. My class might be a little higher than average, but our school is already at 54% Latino, and that number will be increasing with the addition of Slater. We need as many bilingual people as we can get, and even more so, someone who's a strong administrator who is able to help bridge the gap between our 2 schools as we move to the 7 to 12 model. If we want this model to succeed, and we really do want and need this to succeed, we should use every tool in our toolbox. Mercedes Thompson is an essential part of that process. And while we'd be lucky to get Ms. Brady along, Carrillo is her home, and they want her there, as you can see by the signs here tonight. Listen to the parents, students, and teachers, and let us keep the admin we have, and let the schools keep the admin they have at Carrillo, Rincon Middle, Santa Rosa Middle, and Hidden Valley.
Thank you. Next is Ashley Lovelace, followed by Stacy McGarva, followed by Maureen Cecil.
Good evening. My name is Ashley Lovelace, and I'm a teacher at Hidden Valley. I wanted to first say congratulations to our student and staff being recognized tonight. Our community is so lucky to have you. I would also like to recognize and say thank you to our principal and all of the staff at Hidden Valley that make it such a special place. This school year, we've heard of the importance of school culture and how much it means to our students, our staff, and our families. This is built through trust with site leadership and administrators. As a staff member, we know that during transitions like these that you are asking us to make, strong leadership is essential. When I learned of our own principal being let go, I felt like it was a huge loss to our Hidden Valley community. To hear from my colleagues that their site admin were also being let go, I was angry. How can we expect leaders at sites who do not have the experience or relationship with our families and students to say, trust us, at a time where we are transforming our district? Families and students need to have someone with whom they have a relationship to lead them through this transition. Please restore the administrators to their sites and support our families and students. I want to personally ask each of you to go to the bottom of the agenda and to read the Hidden Valley site report. I'm not going to do the work for you, but I want you to go look at the data and watch the video and watch the passion which our principal presented with, and look at all of the data that our students provided and our family provided. School culture is a huge part of Hidden Valley and every single campus, and you've heard from everybody tonight how important that is, and you've seen it with how many people have stood up and clapped for each of our administrators and presenters. Please do the right thing and bring our administrators back. Right now, there's no trust in our district, so saying trust us is empty words. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Stacy McGarva, followed by Maureen Cecil, followed by Kelly Merrick.
Good evening. My name is Stacy McGarva. This is my husband, Josh McGarva. We are the parents of 4 students at Maria Carrillo High School. I'm also here tonight as a representative of the deep frustration being felt by so many families in our community. I first want to draw attention to an online petition to remove Dr. Morales, which has already gathered nearly 5,000 signatures in just over a week. That should show how strongly this community feels about the mistakes being made by Dr. Morales and district leadership. We have watched in shock as Superintendent Morales has removed trusted and effective school leaders, including our own beloved principal, Amy Weiss, without warning, without explanation, without any plan shared with staff or families. At Carrillo, this came as our school was turning a corner, improving in student engagement, safety, and overall culture. Across the district, other well-respected principals and vice principals have also been removed with zero communication to the people directly impacted, teachers, students, and parents. To this day, MCHS staff and families have been given no reason for the mass removal of our administrators and no information about who will be replacing them. Not a word from Dr. Morales. To add insult to injury, a parent square message was sent during spring break trying to paint the district as working so hard during their break. But for them, that's a regular work week. Meanwhile, many of us who were actually on spring break spent the time organizing, writing, meeting, and fighting to hold district leadership accountable for their mistakes. Parents, teachers, and students are losing trust. These reckless decisions are destabilizing our schools at the worst possible time during major closures and restructuring. We need transparency, we need accountability, and we need leaders that build, not destroy our school communities.
In the last 10 seconds, I want to say one thing. In addition to being Stacy's husband and being the father of 4 kids that I'm very proud of, leaders at Carrillo, I'm also a business owner here in Santa Rosa. And the reality is the buck stops at the top. And that includes the leadership in this case of Dr. Morales, and maybe even more specifically, the current and past president that voted for her and pushed her through, and the one other member that voted for her.
Sir,
And now the 4 additional members who have an opportunity here to do
I'm
the
going to
right
have
thing.
to ask you to fill out your own
Okay.
blue card if you'd like to make a full comment. Next is Maureen Cecil, followed by Kelly Merrick, followed by Will Lyon.
I think you called my name, Maureen Cecil?
Yes.
Okay, Maureen Cecil. I am a parent in this district. I'm also a teacher at Pioneer High School. I am the French teacher at Pioneer High School, and I'm here to talk about the French programs because they are near and dear to my heart. Not that I don't feel everything else, but there are 4 full-time French teachers at the secondary level and a few, 2, sometimes 3 part-time teachers that might make up a 5th. Last Thursday, before we went on spring break, in the middle of my second period class, I got told that my French program would be being phased out. Why? Because the numbers are too low. Well, sad to say, well, I shouldn't say sad to say, great to say, my numbers this coming year are better than this year's. So that doesn't make sense. Second of all, the Montgomery High School French teacher, full-time, was given a RIF notice. Then the Santa Rosa High School French teacher, full-time teacher, has been also RIFed, and that program has been closed for next year. So that leaves only 2 high schools. Actually, it leaves 1 high school with an intact French teacher, and the other one unknown. On top of that, I have also been told that the only 2 French programs will continue at Montgomery and Maria Carrillo High School. So the other 3 other 3 high schools will now have no French program. They will no longer be a comprehensive high school because they will only offer 1 language. And not to point fingers or to point things out, but why would you choose to close down programs that are thriving, where students want to be there, and take another language? Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Kelly Merrick, followed by Will Lyon, followed by Ola King-Clay.
Hi, my name's Kelly Merrick. I'm the current Parent Association President.
And I'm here on behalf of the parents, the parent community, and the greater community at large, also with a petition that has been signed, and all the information is in there. Equally, I'm not going to do the work. You guys can read it. It's all been delivered to you guys as well. But first, we would just, like everyone else has been saying, we would love to know in what ways and in how are the decisions being made in the best interest of our students. From our angle, all of our successful, cohesive, and loved administration and counselors have all been riffed. Why? There's been no new vision shared with us. We have no, we're thriving in all the metrics as you've heard. So there must be a new vision for our school that we're unaware of, because all the things that you've given us to thrive in, we're doing. So what's the new vision? Why? What is going on here? And there's been no parents or students involved in new assignments, which is really a break in practice that's been in place for a really long time. We have been asking questions, sending in letters, attending meetings, but there's been no clear communication regarding anything that we've questioned. Please get back to us with the questions we're asking, not with these long drawn out parent squares that I don't even understand half of. We've given the questions. We want to know the answers to the questions that we're giving you. Please respond.
Thank you. Next is Will Lyon, followed by Ola Kingplay, followed by Megan Covey.
I'm Will Lyon, English teacher and parent at Santa Rosa High School, with a tremendous amount of respect for the past and current board. Last June, the school board implored the community to give Dr. Morales a chance, even though she had just been fired from her previous district and had a strong no confidence vote from their teachers' union. Our educators gave her a real sustained chance and made every effort to work with her on the problems she inherited. And now she is wrecking the place with problems that she has created. The straw that broke the camel's back was firing beloved, long-serving site administrators, some with dozens of years of outstanding service to our students, staff, and families, and then shuffling the decks with those remaining administrators in ways that added to the chaos. With so many horrible decisions, it begs the question, how can the board or the community trust her going forward? Do you know who would be a better choice to lead us in an interim superintendent, at least in the short term? Brad Coscarelli. Coscarelli is a 26-year veteran. He's got elementary experience. He's got secondary experience. He has a heart. He has a soul. He loves this community as much as we love him, and we need him or someone like him to keep this ship afloat. We're asking our current school board to be the heroes now and stop at least this part of the chaos that Dr. Morales is causing as we work together on the rest of it. Our students deserve the best, and that starts at the top.
Thank you. Next is Ola Kingplay, followed by Megan Covey, followed by Leticia Contreras.
Okay, I want to share with you a few words of wisdom. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them blooming for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright, blessed day, the dark and scary night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Santa Rosa City School used to be that wonderful world, but now things are falling apart at all levels. No one knows what the other ones are doing. The focus has gone from the students to what? People are trying to lead, but they don't know how. The sun is no longer shining on our beloved school system. The thunder and lightning of confusion is taking a hard hit on our school system. We need to pause and think about our actions. For each action, there is a reaction. Leadership needs to listen to the people in the trenches. No one knows better than those that live it each day. The wrong decision will have a negative effect on our future. Stop, watch, and listen. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands and saying, "How do you do?" They're really saying, "I love you." I hear babies crying. I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world it would be. Clean up Santa Rosa. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Megan Covey, followed by Leticia Contreras, followed by Patrick Atchison.
Hi, my name is Megan Covey. I work at Slater Middle School. It is absolutely outrageous that the people evaluating our school administrators are not the ones who actually work with them every day. Instead, these decisions are being made by the executive board, Dr. Zanz and Dr. Morales, people who rarely see how these administrators interact with students, family, or staff. How can these decisions be informed with any sort of integrity if they are being made by someone who works in an office across town? When someone is labeled not a good fit, I have to ask myself, not a good fit for who? For the students and staff that they support, or for a district office that seems to value compliance over courage? Admin like Mercedes, Amy, and Brad were strong, compassionate leaders who advocated for themselves, their students, and their staff. They were let go while admin who have received numerous complaints are kept and simply moved. It's disheartening, it's dismissive, and frankly, it feels like the exec board is letting their own personal feelings and biases run these decisions instead of educated data. I urge this board to reconsider the evaluation process for administrators. Teachers and staff have the insight that you need to determine who's truly leading with integrity and proficiency and who isn't. Right now, it seems like if an admin dares to advocate for their team, they risk being labeled not a good fit. That is not leadership, that is silencing, and we and our students deserve better. At a time where our district is faced with an insurmountable amount of change, we need our strong admin more than ever. Teachers need admin they can feel that they are supported by, and most importantly, our students and family deserve admin that they know and trust. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Leticia Contreras, followed by Patrick Atchison, followed by Jackie Elward.
My name is Leticia Contreras. I am appalled, school board and superintendent office, at the lack of empathy and pursuit for chaos. School board, Kirby, Jenkins, and De La Torre, your refusal to acknowledge racial inequalities should be reason to have you removed from your position. Dr. Morales, instead of making a connection with your fellow teachers, students, you just hide in your office. The community doesn't want you. The teacher union doesn't want you. So you should just follow suit and resign. Fuera! Fuera! Resign! Thank you for your time. Thank you, Zoom viewers.
Thank you. Next is Patrick Atchison, followed by Jackie Elward, followed by Erica Lipanovich.
Hello, my name is Patrick Atchison, and I'm a CEP teacher, Counseling Bridge Program teacher at LC Allen High School. So as a teacher, I'm often told how lucky I am to have breaks throughout the year. How great it must be to enjoy the first days of spring without work. But how can I rest? And how can any educator rest with rifts, school closures, and the loss of our administrators? Since November of last year, the board and district's messaging has been inconsistent and its decisions erratic. It reminds me of 2019 when the board rammed through an 18% pay raise for the then superintendent and the DO admin in the middle of June, safe from the significant public outcry the board received during the school year. Decisions cannot be made like this again. You are officials elected by this community to ensure our best interests are met. We need less buzzwords, more clarity, and a roadmap for the future. We only have April and May to determine the shape of the 25-26 school year and beyond. We can't go into summer vacation without a plan and still worrying about district politics. We don't need any more surprises. Please be fully transparent going forward. These decisions have to be made before the summer holiday. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Jackie Elward, followed by Erica Lipanovich, followed by Madonna Feathercruz. Jackie's not here? Okay, so Erica Lipanovich, followed by Madonna Feathercruz, followed by Lorraine Perez.
Hello, everyone. My name is Erica Lipanovich. I'm a mother of 2 kids at Hidden Valley Elementary School. On March 14th, I said goodbye to my 1st grade daughter as I walked my TK son to his classroom. We stood in the rain, but after the 2nd bell rung and his teacher still had not arrived, parents started disseminating the news that teachers weren't coming. Parents who were still there looked bewildered. Children whose parents had left were crying because they didn't know where to go. Realizing my daughter may be impacted, I walked to her classroom to find her teacher was also not there. A neighboring teacher told me displaced students could go to her classroom, but made it clear that we would be best to just take our kids home because there weren't enough yard duties that day or enough teachers to safely watch our kids. Furthermore, I was told that they would not be taking attendance that day, which made me feel like my kids would not be safe if left at school. It's my understanding that my kids' teachers requested days off unrelated to the protest, but their substitute teachers were not there or didn't come or were late. It's also my understanding that our office manager and principal also requested the day off, but it seems their substitutes were also not assigned or didn't show up. I don't know. The lack of administration in our office didn't seem to help the situation. Parents didn't know what was going on. It was up to us as parents to call each other, to tell each other to pick up your kids. I don't know how the situation works. I don't know what role the district is supposed to play in making these sort of situations when these things happen, but I think our families would really appreciate knowing what went wrong that day to leave our kids in what seemed like an unsafe situation, but also what went right to see what you did correctly so that we know that we're learning from our mistakes. I just would really like to know that nothing like that ever happens again at our school or anyone's schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Madonna Feathercruz, followed by Lorraine Perez, followed by Catherine Rideout. Is Madonna Feathercruz still here? Okay, then we'll go on to Lorraine Perez, followed by Catherine Rideout, followed by Hannah Morales.
Good evening, board members. My name is Lorraine Perez. I'm a community member and a proud educator at Pioneer High. And I'm here to echo the concerns voiced by many here and by President Howell, but more specifically regarding school safety due to the current budget cuts. Today, I became aware that out of the 28 restorative counselor positions, 3 will remain. 3 that will be shared among the entire district. 3 for thousands and thousands of students. Restorative counselors not only restore after conflict, but they prevent conflicts from escalating. Prevention and care equals safety. Due to the mismanagement of existing funds, we are dismantling the support systems at our schools, our counselors, our beloved administrators, and our campus supervisors. We are taking away caring adults. At Pioneer High, we thrive as a community and we build trust with our students because of our unified and caring staff, and because we have the staff to do so. Next year will look differently, as most of those supported roles will no longer exist. Safety equals better school outcomes. Safety needs to be first and foremost. The cuts are concerning, and I urge the board to reconsider their decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Catherine Rideout, followed by Hannah Morales, followed by Rachel Gunter.
Hi, I'm Catherine Rideout, and I have 2 kids at Hidden Valley Elementary School and 2 more to come. I'm asking the board to request a root cause analysis from the district regarding a school safety issue. On March 14th at Hidden Valley, there were inadequate staff on campus, resulting in children as young as 4 years old wandering the campus, not knowing where to go. There was also a lack of instruction. Despite administrators, staff, and teachers following proper protocols to notify they would be absent, this occurred, and the district administrator did not show up until well after the school day started. Parents were not notified, and many of us did not know that this was going on until we picked up our students from school at around 1 or 2 p.m. This seems to be a failure of protocols and presents a significant safety issue for our children. What if an unsupervised 4-year-old wandered out of the TK yard and onto Shenate Road? What if a child was injured without adult supervision to help? A root cause analysis to understand where the failures in following established protocols to cover staff absences, where new protocols are needed, can prevent this issue in the future. My understanding is similar issues happened at Maria Carrillo and at middle school that day, but at Hidden Valley, I mean, these are really young kids. I also want to mention Brad Coscarelli, our principal. He's a wonderful and trusted administrator. He's a really humble and compassionate leader. I really hope he stays. And if he can't stay, I'm sorry to cry. It's just, let's call it pregnancy. But he touches our hearts and our family so much. Please find a place for him. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Hannah Morales, followed by Rachel Gunter, followed by Sarah Derlick.
Good evening. My name is Hannah Morales, and I am the president of the PTA at Reebley Elementary School in the Mark West District. A proud parent of 2 children in that district, a local business owner, and a longtime resident of this community. I am speaking tonight to express my deep concern and disappointment regarding the recent decision to redraw school boundaries and that will directly impact my district and the long-standing feeder schools which our student attends the next part of their education journey. Along with the poorly made decision to place 7th graders on with 12th graders on the same campus. My child and daughter, both my children have been thriving at Reebley Elementary, where they have built strong relationships with teachers and peers within the east side of Santa Rosa. They engage in academic and extracurricular programs tailored to their needs and develop a sense of belonging and educational path based on the Mark West District situated in the northeast part of Santa Rosa. The sudden decision to uproot their education path from middle to high school at this stage would not only hinder their academic career, but also create unnecessary stress and disruption. This change will negatively impact families who rely on existing transportation arrangements and established support systems that are not easily transferable. I am concerned that this board did not do its due diligence and consult with our district about potential impacts that will happen with the change of boundaries. As a parent, I understand the challenges involved in making decisions that impact the entire community, but I cannot stress enough how upsetting this change is. Placing 7th and 12th graders on the same campus disregards the unique
Thank you.
needs.
Your time is up. Next is Rachel Gunter, followed by Sarah Derlick, followed by Kristen Colgrave.
Hi, my name is Rachel Gunter. I've been a teacher for over 21 years, the last 10 of which have been at Maria Carrillo High School, and this year I'm also a Carrillo parent. With all the changes that are impacting our Carrillo community, I keep coming back to one question: Why? With all the uncertainty due to school closures, why would you create more chaos and uncertainty by dismantling not just Carrillo's admin team, but also those in other schools across our district? Why has Carrillo lost, for sure, 3 of our admin out of the 4, and not even guaranteed the 4th, when the district knew that we were already facing layoffs for every single one of our counselors? This leaves us with very few returning experienced staff in the front office. And why would we lose an administrative team that's been praised by the entire community? Students, parents, staff, and has proven this through the Youth Truth Survey. I know that as a community member, a teacher, and a parent, I have lost faith in the school district to make appropriate decisions because there are no good answers to my questions. The only possible solution to these problems is to immediately reinstate all of our admin and rehire as many of our counselors and staff and do it as quickly as you can. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Sarah Derlick, followed by Kristen Colgrove, followed by Concepcion Dominguez.
Good evening. My name's Sarah Derlick. I have a student at Maria Carrillo. Some at Santa Rosa City Schools seem to have forgotten that there was a fire in 2020. We lost our home in that fire. My son, who's a junior, mostly lived in a tent for 3 years, but he has thrived at Maria Carrillo High School because of Miss Bauer's music program, because of Coach Fogg, because of all of his amazing teachers, and of course, because of Mrs. Weiss. Last year, some of you were here when I mentioned that my middle schooler had a student threaten to stab him in the neck with a pair of scissors during maker class, and that the administration at the school refused to respond and the district refused to respond. Well, that administrator was given a promotion. She became the vice principal at a high school. The year before that, you had a student attacked and battered at RVMS, and you magicked away that administration, and he's coming back to be the principal at RVMS next year. So you don't have an interest in safety in the decisions that you're making. I don't need more information from Santa Rosa City Schools. I need a district and a board that will make reasonable decisions. None of these decisions are reasonable. You have metrics and you have data that say that we're doing well. So if you want to change that, you have an alternate agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Kristen Colgrove, followed by Concepcion Dominguez.
Good evening. I'm Kristen Colgrove, Office Manager at Hidden Valley Elementary School. I'm here to say their names tonight. The names of our beloved staff who've been given reduction in force notices at Hidden Valley Elementary. The names of those who are being ripped from our school family. Michelle Chiesa, daycare and yard duty for 15 years. She's had 2 kids go through Hidden Valley and Santa Rosa City Schools. Elise Dunn, recently hired yard duty, who has 3 kids at Hidden Valley. Carlos Silva, this month's honoree for Classified Employee of the Month. You've already heard this evening how valuable and amazing he is. 3 kids currently in SRCS. Sidetip Kanchalearn, restorative specialist, who's a rock for our kids. They rely on seeing her daily and know that she's there for them no matter what. 10 years in the district, 8 with Hidden Valley, and has 2 children in the district. Ali Fajardo, family engagement facilitator, our bilingual liaison to students and families who make them feel welcome, engaged, and valued in our school community. An integral figure in assuring our EL community is informed and included with kindness and grace, has a current student at Hidden Valley. Debbie Winkleman, this month's honoree for Teacher of the Month, riffed and rescinded, but not before great strife during what should have been her much-earned spring break. Only rescinded because she had to point out HR's error in her seniority. A week from hell for her. She has 3 children in our district. Ellie Orozco, our counselor, who was placed at Hidden Valley this year by no choice of her own due to an HR debacle. She settled in, fostered trust with our students, and made a huge difference in their lives in less than 7 months. Now they have to mourn her loss and learn to trust a new counselor again. Rayanne Valadeo, 2nd grade, Lisa Skinner, 5th grade, Mary Bedient, 6th grade, teachers who've worked to foster for our students and collaborated with their grade level cohorts. Finally, Brad Coscarelli, principal for 7 years, steadfast leader, supportive mentor, trusted, confident by staff and teachers, 23 years in the district, but let go
Your time
for
is
no
up.
reason.
Next is Concepcion Dominguez.
Mi nombre es Concepción Domínguez. Es muy triste ver cómo tantos maestros y algunos directores de las escuelas están siendo despedidos y más triste ver para nuestros niños y comunidad todo por lo que están pasando últimamente. Hoy sigo exigiendo regresen a nuestro director Albavera y que sean claros en cuanto a los mapas y cambios para la escuela Elsie Allen. E informen a nuestros padres y maestros de todo antes de cualquier cosa. Y sigo diciendo que no estoy de acuerdo con la policía en las escuelas. Y fuera, señora Daisy Morales, fuera.
Okay, hi, my name is Concepcion Dominguez. I am very sad to hear many teachers and principals are being laid off. It's even more sad for our children and our community, and especially for our, sorry, I'm going in. And especially we are demanding for our principal, Albavera, to come back and to let it be clear in our changes in the maps and for our schools and for Elsie Allen. I have informed many parents and teachers before everything to let the teachers and parents be informed before anything is being decided. And I keep saying that I am not agreeing with implementing the police in our schools. And our last thing is for Daisy Morales to be out. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just going to call one more time for the people who weren't here. Madonna Feather Cruz, Jackie Elward, Martin Resnick. Are there any other blue cards? All right, then that concludes public comment for tonight. I am going to ask the board that we take a 5-minute break. Thank you, everyone. It again. Oops. We're going to get started. Moving on to our discussion and action items, starting with acceptance of the 2023-2024 independent audit report. Lisa August, go ahead.
Superintendent Dr. Morales, members of our board and our SRCS community. I am here this evening to happily report that we have, again, for the 6th year in a row, 0 findings in our financial audit. I just want to share that this really speaks to the work that happens across the district from our school sites through our collaboration with other departments and our fiscal team. So very happy to report that. I don't have a presentation to share. If there are any questions or specific items in the audit that you would like me to address, I'd be happy to do so.
Board, are there questions? Trustee Jenkins?
Of course, I have a question, but it's not a super exciting one. Just to clarify what it is, being the first time around with this. So I'm assuming it's just checking how the numbers are going and checking the numbers that are being reported out. Because I saw a lot of parenthesis numbers, which I don't like to see, but it really is just to make sure that everything's in check, correct?
What the audit is a report on the accuracy of what we're reporting. So it's to go through and make sure that our financial statements are correct, that as they pull sample transactions for vendor warrants, for, requisitions, contracts, when work is recorded as paid in the correct year, especially when you look at facilities projects, those may cross years, and that's a lot of times where you'll find something that, oh, this should have been paid in the prior year or the current year, depending on when invoices come in or work in progress is completed. So it's really just checking on the accuracy of that. So it's actually really important. It's also making sure that we're following our processes as laid out in board policy and in our procedures.
Other questions? Trustee Caston?
Not a question, just two comments. One, for folks, not this coming Monday, but the Monday after at the finance subcommittee, one of the things we'll be talking through is the whole audit process and how it integrates with the board. So if this item was really exciting for you, we're going to be talking about it even more at that finance committee meeting to see how it integrates with our finance process. And then just a little detail, and I apologize for not getting it out to you earlier, but in the reporting entity description, they just say that we have a board of 5 elected officials. It's on page 36. We should just change that to 7.
Thank you. I did not catch that in my review.
Of the 116 pages, but it popped out. So I caught it as I was reading it again before we came in here. So
We will ask them to amend that. Thank you.
Any other questions? I have no blue cards, so this goes to further discussion or a motion.
Are we accepting or receiving?
Accepting.
All right,
please.
I move to accept the audit report
With the amendment?
with the amendment. Well, with requesting the amendments because we're accepting.
Yes.
Second.
All right, moved by trustee Caston, seconded by trustee Kirby. Roll call vote.
Student Board Member Zaninga.
Aye.
Trustee Caston.
Aye.
Trustee Kirby.
Aye.
Trustee Jenkins. Aye. Trustee Manieri.
Aye.
President McNally.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. All right, moving on, we will consider the addition of flag football as a new sport. Have Dr. Castro.
Thank you, President McNally, Superintendent Dr. Morales, and members of the board, students, staff, and members of the community, Santa Rosa City Schools. Bringing to you this proposal is Ed Services, and to give the specifics, former extracurricular coordinator Ryan Thompson, currently vice principal of Pioneer, and part-time athletic director for Santa Rosa City Schools, Ryan Thompson.
Hello, board, superintendent, student representative, and everyone watching. So we are excited to put this forward. We understand that there's a lot of things that we're focusing on, but we also feel that this is something that can bring some positive opportunities for our students. It's actually been a work in progress for about 2 years, I would say, of like fact-finding research, looking at the information, the interest to try to bring girls flag football to our 5 high schools. Currently, as you guys are aware, I mean, it's in the agenda item, but women's flag football and girls flag football is growing nationally and in our own state, as well as even locally in our own North Coast section, where the North Coast section just had its first girls flag football championship series this year in 2024 and is expanding rapidly. So what we want to do is propose bringing this sport opportunity to our schools, not only to provide additional opportunities for our female student athletes, but also in hopes of either preventing and or bringing students from leaving our schools because of lack of opportunities, but also in hopes of bringing some back because of the fact that we are now going to offer this opportunity along with many of the other schools around us that are joining in on leagues even as soon as next season in the fall. So a clarification item on this is it is for girls flag football. I know the item says flag football, but it is for girls flag football.
Would it be possible in the future to consider adding both boys and girls at the middle school level?
That is something we have discussed many different sport options, also along with like at middle schools and high schools. I know there are many other schools around us, like in West County and whatnot, that do have middle school flag football leagues. So we'd be open to exploring any of those additions. It's going to offer opportunities for our students. It's just a matter of the timing and the interest level. Make sure we have enough.
Absolutely.
Trustee Kirby?
Could you just speak to the fiscal impact of this, please, and how it says Title IV funding?
Yeah, I can speak to that.
Can you talk to that, please?
Yeah, one of the things that had been delaying on my end was actually finding that. This has been something that has been pushed on me for like over a year. One of the things that I've been pushing back on was that. But in doing some research, we are able to use a Title IV. Title IV is actually perfect for this. It is a restricted resource. It is used for increasing student engagement. It's for well-rounded schooling, for after school, attracting and bringing students back. We are using carryover for it, so one-time funding. This is the sort of thing actually doing research that actually can actually be a revenue source. My daughter actually plays it, and I know going to tournaments that actually people pay to come watch these games. And from a camp that we held last year with the 49ers, 50 to 60 students came to it, and unfortunately, very few of them were from our district, actually. Most of them were coming from surrounding districts and all the way down to Marin, asking why we didn't have teams like this. So we have identified this resource, and we're hopeful, and with the interest level that we have at the 5 high schools and the energy building around it, we're really hoping that this is something that can be like free branding for us and bring a level of excitement that mirrors the traditional American football during that season, and really take off and actually be a revenue source for us, not only bringing, like I said, revenue, but attracting students back that do leave because we don't have an option that's really flourishing in other districts surrounding us.
And if I can add to that too, just to clarify, like within the first year is where the biggest, I guess, financial hit would be. After that, just like many of our other interscholastic sports, through ticket gate funds and fundraiser efforts by the clubs, it would be relatively self-sustaining at the site level to where like league dues and officials fees and all that kind of stuff would then be absorbed into the regular costs associated with other sports activities. And sites would be able to generate, as Dr. Castro said, revenue from tickets, and we've even talked about in our athletic director meetings, possibly holding like an annual tournament within our district to offer to outside schools also to help raise funds for that, just for general athletics in general, but also to promote this. And so at some point, after the first year, the financial burden would be significantly less than the first year just to launch it.
And so just to be clear, the $55,000, that's not coming out of our budget when you save
Absolutely
the
not.
financial impact. I just want to make sure that, so it's no cost to the.
No, that's a restricted resource, federal resource, Title IV, and it's carryover.
Just wanted to clarify that. Thanks.
Yeah.
Trustee Jenkins?
So I'm super pumped about this. I am curious, though, if we can find funding for girls flag football, is there a chance we can find funding for boys volleyball? And I mean, there's other sports that have an interest as well, but those are kind of the top 2 that I've seen. And lacrosse, of course, would be so much fun. I personally played rugby, so I love rugby, but we have our club sports.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as I said earlier, we're open to, since when I first started my role with Dr. Castro 2 years ago, year and a half ago, I came up with a list of different areas where we can improve and sports we can add, as well as our athletic directors have done lots of research and surveys over the many years where we have some info on that. This one in particular we focused on just because of the rapid growth in the survey data that we have just from in 2022-23, for example, our ADs launched a survey on what sports they'd be interested in. Girls flag football was not on there at all. And boys volleyball was in there along with like lacrosse and some others. And then the first year women's or girls flag football was added in the 23-24 survey. It instantly rose to the top, along with the LA Olympics hosting women's flag football for the first time, as well as our Title IX participation. So between, for the last 2 years, not including this one, the data hasn't been run yet, but for the last 2 years, we have significantly higher levels of participation in athletics on our male side at the high school level, anywhere from 500 to 600 student athletes more. So adding a female sport would help to raise that level to be a little more equal. But we would definitely be open to adding more sports in the future, of course, based on student interest and financial feasibility and all that.
The next one in line would be boys volleyball.
Trustee Caston?
what is the process and where is the decision made on interest and feasible? Because, well, that's the question. So where is financial and feasible determined in order to say, yes, we're going to allow this sport? And I'm thinking of individual campuses, not just all five, like.
Well, in terms of interest, I suppose it would be the survey that was done. In terms of feasibility, that's where I've been dragging my feet on this because of the obvious priorities that we've been dealing with. But having identified this carryover and having been presented with a timeline that I was presented by the North Bay League and CIF, that was brought to me by Mr. Thompson, I felt it timely to bring to us because we can actually begin participating as early as next year and seeing that we have an opportunity to actually bring some really positive, I guess, publicity to the district and possible positive opportunities to bring people to our district immediately. I thought we could capitalize on this at this moment.
I think also, sorry if I can jump onto that too. I think also when it comes to feasibility and it's also sustainability. So for example, in those survey data, boys and girls lacrosse came up as one of the items to add. And that was one of the ones that was on our list of that could be exciting and fun to bring. When we looked at that, the level of interest at all the schools wasn't necessarily there. As well as you're looking at reconditioning gear, the cost of the gear, so the initial cost and the sustainability of that cost was also higher. While there is a level of interest there, versus like girls flag football, in this one, for example, every single school was right on board with it. The startup cost was lower, as well as also the ongoing costs for like equipment, gear, that kind of stuff. So especially in the financial landscape we have, we figured this was going to be not just as an opportunity for our female student athletes, but financially would be, yeah.
And I appreciate this item and supportive of it. We need to be adding this. I also want to see this added at the middle schools for both boys and girls. And what I'm trying to get at, and I think you were saying there's at all the schools, why is that important? If we have interest in one school, why are we not actively pursuing having a CIF sports program where there is the interest so we can stop losing students to the other districts that are offering those?
We do have interest at all schools, at all the high schools.
For girls flag football, is that what you're?
No, I'm saying for the other sports. So like lacrosse, so you said lacrosse, we don't have it at all the schools. So let's do it at the schools where there is the interest.
Yeah, and that doesn't necessarily mean that we wouldn't pursue that. It just, when it also came to, like I said, feasibility and sustainability, but also with the rising trend. I mean, lacrosse has been around for a while, and that's just an example, right?
More of an ROI thing in terms of how much you're investing versus how much you're going to get back. If you're going to invest in one school in terms of lacrosse, you could do that, right? But if you're investing $55,000 in a sport that's going to get all 5 schools and you possibly get a much bigger return on investment, it seems like a better investment than investing in one school and one sport, right?
So I guess what I'm trying to understand is where we can have that conversation, because I support this and we should be doing this, but we have volleyball up in Windsor that we don't offer at the freshman levels and above. We have freshman teams in sports we do offer that are pulling our students away from us. We aren't competing in CIF sports that neighboring districts are. And so we're immediately losing students by not doing that, and having the investment, even if it's at one campus instead of all campuses, it seems like it has the immediate return of the ADA that we're losing by not offering these.
Yeah, we could. I mean, it would be a little awkward, I think, for me. And if I would, I guess, put this back to the board, just to bring a sport and introduce it at one school, though. So we could do that. We could have that conversation, but.
Okay. I mean, I think it's necessary because different parts of our city have different interests in different sports. And I think we need to honor, especially as we're working to theme on the academic side, I think taking that same concept in for our sports program. And if we have interest in students in one community, we should be embracing that and offering it to them. And if a different community within Santa Rosa has a different sports interest, like we should do the ones where everyone wants to participate, but we also need to get more nuanced about this. So I do want to move forward with this tonight, but I also want to challenge this concept that we wouldn't and have this item come back as soon as possible, because I think it's a core part of our attraction and retention efforts is actually offering students what they want, even if it's not throughout the campus.
Understood.
Yep. And if I can add to that, like as we continue discussions to look at, further improving our athletics offerings, one thing that Dr. Castro and I have been working on examining and whatnot is how we can support them through our athletic directors and our athletic training staff as well. Because with added sports comes added responsibilities for those professionals. And so we want to make sure that their time and their energy is supported as well. So that's another factor to play when you add a sport. The amount of, student athlete clearances, concussion screenings, all that kind of stuff that has to be taken into account. So we also want to look at that too.
Trustee Manieri?
I'm also really excited about this. Now that we kind of know the process and have been able to identify funds, just kind of going along with the conversation, what might a timeline look like, or how long might it take to be able to get something like boys volleyball up and running, now that we kind of understand how we implement this?
So I'll use this sport as an example, right? It depends on season of sport and kind of when things happen. So the timely timing of this one is that the North Bay League, which is the league that all of our schools participate in, they're working on drafting a schedule as early as in the next couple of weeks for next year's flag football season, which is in the fall. So the timeline can be relatively quick, but it also is going to take some work and some consideration for facility use and management, especially as girls flag football plays on a flag football field or a football field, and we have our football teams in the fall as well. So athletic directors have to work on managing that. So the timeline can be quick depending on the sport and what other factors are in there, or it could be a little bit longer, again, depending on what other sports compete with it. This sport in particular, the turnaround time could be quick, and that's, again, why we're pushing this forward tonight, is if it goes through, the goal is to have, to get together like a coaching position, get athletic directors to start flying the sport, start working on the clearance process over the summer, because practices do start as early as right after graduation. So, yeah.
Trustee Kirby?
Just one more quick comment. We've actually been trying to get competitive cheer well before this, which also I would think have very little startup costs, but I just want to keep that on your radar too, because that's, we've been trying to get that in our district for quite a while. So if we can find a way to make that happen as well.
Yeah, well, fully supportive of that as well. We've been having discussions on that. And one of the first things actually that I had Mr. Thompson when he came on board was get all of the paperwork associated with that under control, because we had some issues with that, but we definitely are supportive of competitive cheer.
Student Board Member Zuniga?
I think this is so cool. I'm so hyped. Even though I'm graduating, like I can, as a senior, Friday night lights are like the most amazing thing. And even though we can only do them for boys football, now that there's like a possibility that we can have it for girls flag, and have more Friday night lights, and having those like end of the week first semester nights, which are like the most fun I have during that entire semester, getting to like hang out with
Hope
friends.
you come back for it.
Yeah, you have to come back. Yeah, as an alum, right? Yeah, absolutely. Well, I will say too, if you don't mind, like after our athletic directors even did their survey, just the informal interest gathering in the winter of 2024, a few months ago, they were reaching out to me with students, even the students on my own campus. Are we doing it? Does this mean we're doing it? Parents emailing. So we're doing it now, right? Like, so the excitement level is echoed by the community as well as yourself. So yeah.
I think it's amazing. And I think like just me, but my peers, if I told them that like there's going to be flag, they're going to be so hyped. I think
Did you see the commercial during the Super Bowl?
Yeah, that was a nice commercial.
Great. I do have a blue card. Are there any other questions before I take public comment? All right, so Anna Diaz, you'll have 2 minutes.
Good evening, board, student board member. My name's Anna Diaz and I am from Roseland. Actually an alumni of the school district. I attended Lawrence Cook Middle School, Herbert Slater Middle School, and I am a graduate of Elsie Allen class of 2015. I just wanted to emphasize that, this agenda item is very important as sports and school functions surrounding athletics is super important to our student culture and achievement. So I do appreciate that this was actually on the agenda tonight. However, I do want to go and also acknowledge Maria Carrillo's cheerleading team for winning the state championship just this year. I mean, it's such a great, my niece is a back spot for the Maria Carrillo varsity cheer team. And I mean, it was such an excitement overall. And I do think that this board needs to do a resolution or, something to acknowledge the girls because they put so much time, effort, and dedication just to make people back home proud of their achievements through their athletics. So I really encourage for you guys to reach out to their cheer coach and to organize something with them, even if it's like a pizza party or, just having them come up and accept a resolution from you guys and a photo here in the city's chambers. I mean, that would be great. I do know that some parents and the cheerleaders, they don't feel acknowledged by this board. So if you guys could do something to make them feel special, especially for this achievement from the state, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, this comes back to the board for further discussion or a motion.
I move to approve.
A second.
Moved by trustee Jenkins, seconded by trustee Manieri. Roll call vote.
Student board member Zaninga.
Aye.
Trustee Jenkins. Aye. Trustee Manieri.
Aye.
Trustee Caston.
Aye.
Trustee Kirby.
Aye.
President McNally.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. All right, we will move on to F3, approval of memorandum of understanding reached with Santa Rosa City Schools and supervisory and unrepresented employees regarding service recognition.
Good evening, board. Superintendent Morales. I'm sitting in for Dr. Zanz. I'm Jesse Olson, Human Resources Director with the district. So I don't have a presentation tonight, but rather a memorandum of understanding for your consideration as it relates to our supervisory and unrepresented employees' service recognition, specifically regarding their CalPERS retirement benefits.
All right, are there any board questions? Trustee Jenkins?
Yeah, I'm curious. So, new person. Hi, I haven't met you before. I'm Sarah.
Hi. Hi, Sarah.
Is this just for the benefits or is this, it is a 5% increase in their salary, 5% increase. Does it go with, so new to this. So 5% increase to salaries, is it with and their benefits are increasing too, or just strictly?
No, yeah. So the way
Salary.
it works is our supervisory and unrepresented employees, after it's basically longevity pay that they earn. So after 9 years, 14 years, and so on and so forth, they get a 5% pay increase, which has been on the books for a while. What we're looking to do is right now, in terms of their CalPERS retirement benefits, once they do retire, those 5% increases are not being considered when they do retire. So it's no change in what they're earning in terms of their longevity pay. It's just once they do retire, right now CalPERS isn't considering that longevity pay. We did a similar MOU for our CSEA employees a while back to address that, but because our unrepresented and supervisory employees are not part of CSEA, it required a separate MOU.
So it's not, it doesn't impact our budget this year?
No, no, absolutely does not
Perfect.
impact our budget, no.
Thank you.
It's not a increase in pay for these classifications. It's simply for their retirement benefits through CalPERS. So yeah, absolutely.
Trustee Caston?
Are there any public comments on this item?
I have no blue cards.
I'd like to move approval of the MOU for supervisory and unrepresented employees. Wait for the reading of the text.
Second.
All right, moved by Trustee Caston, seconded by Trustee Manieri. Roll call vote.
Student Board Member Zaninga is absent. Trustee Caston,
Aye.
Trustee Manieri,
Aye.
Trustee Kirby,
Aye.
Trustee Jenkins,
Aye.
President McNally.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to our consent items. Seeking a motion on items G, 1, 2, 4, and 6 through 11.
Moved.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Caston, seconded by Trustee Manieri. Roll call vote.
Student Board Member Zaninga, absent. Trustee Caston,
Aye.
Trustee Manieri,
Aye.
Trustee Kirby,
Aye.
Trustee Jenkins,
Aye.
President McNally.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, who pulled 3?
I have to abstain.
Okay, so seeking a motion on G3.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Trustee Manieri, seconded by Trustee Jenkins. Roll call vote.
Student Board Member Zaninga, absent. Trustee Manieri,
Aye.
Trustee Jenkins,
Aye.
Trustee Caston. Abstain. Trustee Kirby,
Aye.
President McNally.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, and then Trustee Kirby, you pulled G5? No, Jenkins. Trustee Jenkins.
Yes. Just waiting for my thing to load. That's not it. So I requested it be pulled because some of the summer programs are being renewed, but I'm wondering, I'd like to get a little bit more information because there are costs associated. Shoot. The ones I'm curious about are the land paths, Excel for Youth, and the LBC camp. I know a lot of the contracts do not have a fee associated with them. And so I'm just looking to get more information on like who we're actually serving. Are these things open to everyone? Things of that sort. If you could just kind of walk me through it.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Michael Reimer, Director in Educational Services. Great to see you all. So thank you very much for the time and the questions this evening. We're excited to launch summer programming for 2025. And just to update you briefly, we did a soft launch a number of weeks ago to targeted groups across the school district. And then our general launch just happened on Monday this week. So we're excited to kick it off again for students across the district. Just quickly on your questions, I can provide you a high-level overview on those particular programs. We're, of course, bringing forward contracts this evening for different CBOs and partners that we have. They are all renewals, so existing relationships. We've worked with all of them before successfully. And just summarizing quickly, the Land Paths program is a unique program, I think, for our district and our students. It offers students in elementary school an outdoor experiential situation outside of our schools, off campuses, at local outdoor classroom spaces, if you will, although they're not classrooms. So students get a chance to go out to places like Preston Farm and Bohemia Preserve and learn environmental education. And we've done it for a number of years. And thank you. In the past, we've enjoyed great comments and feedback from some of our students, including, I think, one of your board members.
Did that one, is it the same offerings that they offer for the general public in their summer camps? And why, if that is the case, then why do we have a partnership with them through Santa Rosa City Schools?
Thank you. So it's different than the other programs that organization offers the broader community. This one is unique to Santa Rosa City School students. And if I may add, I think is important, it's funded using a restricted resource, Title I monies. And so if you look carefully at the registration application, it focuses in on a particular set of schools and a set of qualifying criteria for the students that we're really targeting there. And, you know, the rationale there, of course, is to provide supplemental opportunities for underserved students, I think, across our district.
Being that it's Title I monies, are those schools that are being targeted, are they offered the outdoor education programs that are commonly found in like 5th, 6th grade across elementary schools? I'm just making sure, I just want to make sure that those opportunities are to everyone, you know?
I'd say that they are enhanced. I'd say that they're opportunities that are more in depth and are for longer periods of time. And what I mean by that is this year, if you read that particular contract carefully, students have week-long experiences at those locations, which is different than what I understand that organization does with other schools in the area. And what I mean by that is typically when they work with schools during the school year, it's a one-day experience, whereas here it's, you know, much longer.
Do you know if those targeted schools are offering and are participating in an outdoor ed program for, like, during the school year for those 5th and 6th graders?
Not to this extent.
But are they do they offer those? I know not all schools offer the outdoor ed in the later years.
I don't know on all of the schools.
Okay.
That's the land path one. Were there questions on that, or should I can explain the other ones? Yeah. The other ones, if I've got it down correctly, are LBC. That's our partners, Luther Burbank Center for the Performing Arts. They have had a long-standing relationship with our school district for the summer program. It focuses, of course, on arts education. It runs for 3 weeks in the summer. It has a blend of different classes, fine art, I think a little bit of ceramics, dance, mariachi as well. And it culminates with a performance, a community performance that ends at LBC at the end of the summer school. Student art is showcased and sold, and it's a very well-attended event. Great celebration, I think, for the community. And finally, LBC, the final one you had asked about was Excel for Youth. This is a unique partnership. I think we're very lucky here to be partnered with Sonoma State University on this one, and helps to strengthen, you know, I think some of our pipeline and partnership with that organization. And what we do at the summer school is target elementary students again, and build out mostly enrichment experiences here. Very unique class offerings, I think, throughout the summer. Last year, they had a crime scene investigation class. So they really put together very creative offerings. Some arts and theater, some acting classes, a nice blend of offerings, and it's very popular every year.
Are these programs, is there a cost associated for the students and families for these activities, enrichments?
All of our summer school programs are offered for free and include meals. And when we say meals, we mean a breakfast, snack, and lunch. So it's complete for all of our programs.
But these are different than our typical summer school offerings.
I'm sorry, they're different than what?
The summer school offerings, like they're not the same as a typical summer school offering, or are they?
So all three that we've talked about are CBOs, community-based organizations that partner with us to help us with our summer school offerings, yes.
I think we might be the question might be in comparisons to credit recovery.
Oh, yes, thank you. Sorry, when I say summer school offerings, last summer we offered 17 different programs and served 3,000 students. So under that umbrella term, summer school offerings, you see a wide variety of programs. Everything from, forgive me, very academic, a credit recovery, or early literacy program for elementary students, all the way to the other extreme, if you will, enrichment. And here we see things more like arts education, experiential outdoor opportunities. So we try to offer a complete suite, just depending on the interests and needs of the student.
I guess the reason that I bring it up is as a parent and trying to navigate summer activities and summer enrichment opportunities. I mean, it's expensive, right? I mean, you're looking at summer camps that are $400 to $500 a week, easy, meals or no meals. You have more than one kid and, your costs are doubling, and no one has that kind of money, to be perfectly honest. But I know from personal experience in roles offering programs like that, that families in the past, when I have been in those roles, most organizations are very generous with scholarships and funding opportunities for those who have the need. And so my concern is that I also want to see funding going back into the school year for into the schools during the school year. That's kind of why that is why I brought it up, is because it seems like these offerings can be, if families go toward the program and request scholarships, that oftentimes they will be granted them, in my personal experience. So I just want to bringing that up. Really.
So one of the things that is that we are actually required to offer additional services and time outside of the school year.
Okay.
So it's actually 9 hours of programming during the school year, plus an additional 30 days of 9 hours outside of the school year for our expanded learning opportunity program.
Can you say that just differently? It's not
Sure.
sticking.
So 9 hours of programming during the school year and an additional 30 days outside of the school year. So that can be over breaks and the summer. And so that's because of the requirement of the expanded learning opportunities program. And so to be able to cover the robustness that we need to do, because we have to target our unduplicated pupils for those services first, and then try to offer supplemental to others as well.
That's very helpful. Thank you. Can I ask a follow-up question then on what was the other one? The other one, the Springboard program?
Yep.
Is that, and I'm sorry, I don't have everything right in front of me, but does that one, I know that's TK through 4th, right? More for reading, literacy, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Very, very important, obviously.
Yeah.
But I don't have the numbers right in front of me, mostly because I have too many tabs open. But the number of kids who are receiving that specific service, just because of we talk a lot about the pipeline to prison stuff. And there's, my understanding is that third grade literacy is so incredibly important. So I just want to make sure that there's a huge focus on that and that we are offering that to as many students that need it.
Thank you. That's, it's been we've worked with Springboard now for 3 years and seen fantastic results actually from that summer school program. We've also integrated it, depending on the year, into the after-school program. And just quickly, one thing that we celebrated during the fall board presentation was reading gains of up to 5.0 months from a 5-week summer school intensive program. So at one site, we saw 5.0 months of gain. At the other site, last year we had 2 sites, 4.7 months. And when we went to crunch the numbers ourselves, we saw statistically significant increases at both sites on multiple metrics. Simply, I'd say that it has a very strong foundation when implemented with fidelity, and shows, growth, I think, for our youngest learners in such a critical area, reading and writing. One thing, if I may, I'll just note, just on the funding part, a number of these partners have actually come down in their costs together with us. And as they have explained it to me, as we've gone back and forth, is some of them have gone out and worked their philanthropy channels to offset. So you had asked, Ms. Jenkins, about funding coming back into our schools. I'd say yes, indirectly, through their work and their efforts to keep our costs low for the summer program. I know that's true, particularly with Springboard, and also one that's on the docket here this evening is our new partnership, relatively new, with Santa Rosa City Santa Rosa City Rec and Parks Department. So that has been kept very low too, offset through bond money and VPP funds. So anyway.
Not our bond money, by the way.
Yeah, through their, do we call it bond or?
Their initiative.
Trustee Kirby?
Initiative money.
Just a quick comment about one of the other programs listed there, the North Bay Trades Introduction Program. That was one of the ones listed there. I really like this program. Obviously, it's about tradeswomen, and a camp for them to learn construction, possibly getting into the trades. I guess my question is, it looks like we sent 13 students there for the camp last year. How are we advertising these programs to our students and getting the word out that this is available? I'd love to see that class filled up. I mean, but.
Other than the parent square that went out 5 hours ago?
Was it on there? I've tried not to look at my phone too much. Yeah.
I'd have to get the specifics from Director Cardozo on that. I know you had asked a question, and I reached out to her to get some of the answers on how they were actually selecting individuals for that. But I can get you that information with respect to how they're reaching out to to solicit that for their students. I think a lot of it has to do very similar to that event that you attended over at LC Allen, where they pull directly from the classrooms, and they're pulling the boys and girls from the classroom equally. They just bring basically them out to when they have like that group, I forget what they were called, blue collar, whatever it was, and they came by and they basically just grab the kids that are in the classes with them and they show them what a career would look like, and then actually involve them in the work directly with the individuals that have been doing this for a couple of decades right there, and they see how interested they are and see if they can actually get them right into the pipeline right away.
So I guess that's kind of what wasn't clear, is that are we pulling students from all of our campuses for this camp, or is it just at one campus?
I can, like I said, I can get the definite answer for you there, but my guess would be that it would be from all, because that's the way that Debbie works. So,
okay, thank you.
Yeah, I want to remind the board, this is a consent item. If we want more information on summer programming, I'm sure we can bring that back in a future item. Trustee Caston.
Would be
Questions?
interest though.
In that direction, actually, when is it that we would be looking at the overall summer programming strategy as a board? When does that normally come up to us?
In the past, we've presented an update to the board and celebrated the opportunities in April sometime. So coming up soon, I believe. I don't know when it's going to be agendized, though.
Is that before or after the decisions have been made on it, as far as what we're reviewing? Like, I'm wondering if we need to ask for a broader strategy conversation where we can understand the interconnectedness of all these offerings, or if that's already something that regularly comes to us each year. And then, because one of the things we've talked about with consent items is that they should be following a policy discussion we've had. And so I'm trying to figure out when we have the policy discussions so that we then know that the consent items are following that discussion.
Yeah, at this point, it would be after because we have to actually have summer school rolled out.
So we joined in December, so I'm thinking for next year.
Yeah.
So I figured something occurred before we were swearing in. What month is it that that thing happens so that we know when we're talking about the next summer?
So the cycle usually goes like this. In the fall, we report out to the board typically October, early October on summers and celebrate, kind of showcase the activities. That took place in the summer. And then right away, immediately, we start planning for the following summer.
So that October presentation is when we could give broader thoughts on preparing for the
feedback.
next year.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, oh, go ahead.
And we come back to the board and provide a quick update in April as well, prior to the launch, just prior again.
And just last question for Lisa is, it's coming out of restricted funds, but restricted funds are still accounts that we need to be managing the health of. How healthy are they? Are these accounts that are in reserve territory? What's going on with that?
So again, with this, most of the summer programming is done through the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program, which has to be spent on that. It is also braided with other costs, other funding sources like ACES, the after school.
CNS, I'd assume, for the lunches.
CNS, that's part of what we're paid for with reimbursements. So it's a braiding of funds, all from restricted sources.
But we are noticing, the hit, and we're down a third in terms of the funding. I don't know, you can get into specifics.
So specifically, when we were looking at the LCAP, so that's part of the supplemental and concentration and the way that we have to identify services for our unduplicated pupils. That's who we're targeting typically in our summer programming, whether it's at the high school level or at the elementary. Elementary is the only level that can be served by our ELOP funds, the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program, because it's received for TK through 6, and we're the two separate districts. So we can bring back information on specifics on the way that funding works. So that may be something for the finance subcommittee.
And will that naturally come to us anyway through the LCAP process we're in the middle of?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Seeking a motion on G5.
I move to approve.
Second.
Moved by trustee Manieri, seconded by trustee Caston. Roll call vote.
Student Board Member Zuniga.
Aye.
Trustee Manieri.
Aye.
Trustee Caston.
Aye.
Trustee Kirby.
Aye.
Trustee Jenkins. Aye. President McNally.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on to approval of minutes. Seeking a motion on approval of minutes of the regular board meeting held on March 12th, 2025.
I move approval of minutes of the regular board meeting held on March 12th, 2025.
Second.
Moved by trustee Manieri, seconded by trustee Caston. Roll call vote.
Student Board Member Zuniga.
Abstain.
Trustee Manieri.
Aye.
Trustee Caston.
Aye.
Trustee Kirby.
Aye.
Trustee Jenkins. Aye. President McNally.
Aye. Motion passes. Seeking a motion on approval of the minutes of the special board meeting held on March 12th, 2025.
I move approval of the minutes of the special board meeting held on March 12th, 2025.
Second.
Moved by trustee Manieri, seconded by trustee Caston. Roll call vote.
Student Board Member Zuniga.
Abstain.
Trustee Manieri.
Aye.
Trustee Caston.
Aye.
Trustee Kirby.
Aye.
Trustee Jenkins. Aye. President McNally.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, are there any board member requests for information? Trustee Manieri?
Yes, I would like to make a formal request for a timeline and an item on boys volleyball to come back. And I'm sure there might be some other ideas in that direction, but specifically, I'd like to call in the boys volleyball.
And I know the clerk typically records requests for information and he's not here. Are you taking notes on this? Great. Trustee Caston?
I could just take that and expand it to the strategy of our entire athletics program. The strategy of our entire athletics program across the district. And then also, and I'll follow up in an email on this as well, but following up on our student trustees report, if we could also get an update on policy 3510, the green school operations. In there, we already have policies around reducing waste and having organic food services. So if we can take that entire report from our student trustee and turn that into a future discussion item to get an update on those, on how we're actually implementing that policy.
Any others? Trustee Kirby?
I would like to get the dates for the USDA National School Food Study site visits that are happening in April. And to see if I'm around, if it's okay to tag along on that, I would like to do that.
Superintendent, did you get what Trustee Kirby just asked? Yes.
USDA, the visits in April so that you can visit it.
They're coming they're scheduled to come to a site visit, but they said sometime in April, but they never said what the date was, so.
Okay, any other requests? All right, you'll find our information items at the bottom of the agenda. Meeting adjourned.